This is the Vaguely Nerdy Podcast, where every week this brother-sister duo gets together to discuss the box office, latest film and TV scoops, along with our latest movie or a show review, and what we're getting into next. We're your host, Cheryl.
And Jay.
So this week we watched the hotly debated, contested, I don't know which one to call it. It's definitely making some waves. Movie Civil Wars, the latest from the movie studio A24. Jay is on deck to quiz me for trivia.
Yes, I have very basic trivia for you. Because
right.
there's not much trivia surrounding this movie.
Does not mean I'm going to get it correct, but go ahead.
So this film has a release date of April 12th, 2024. This is the same date of another major historical event in U.S. history.
April 12th. Dear God. I feel like I actually saw this when I was putting our thing together.
Oh.
But now I don't remember what it is.
Okay.
Can I get a clue? Is it like is it a movie event or a real event?
It's a real event. I mean, there's been
they're
multiple
both
movies
right
on the event
what
and
happened in April
referencing
12th?
it. But
oh, darn it. I feel like I saw this. I'm not going to get it. Is it happy or sad?
sad.
Okay.
Theme of this film.
Is it the anniversary of the...
Don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it? Okay. Is it the anniversary of the actual Civil War? No?
Yes, it is.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's weird and
Yes.
creepy.
April 12th, 2024 is exactly 163 years to the day of the beginning of the real American Civil War.
Wow. I wonder if they did that on purpose.
Oh, I'm absolutely sure.
Okay.
Yeah, the movie is just...
It's literally American Civil War.
Yeah, it's literally just the Civil War,
yeah,
but a redo.
Right. And yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? That's not what I thought I saw.
Oh,
so
really?
That's interesting. I don't know what I saw earlier, but it might have been related to something totally not war related. So that's interesting. So news you could use. The April 12th was the first day of the American Civil War.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into our episode.
Welcome, fellow movie buffs. I'm Jay.
I'm Cheryl.
Listen in as we break down movie and TV shows, tell you what's in the plot, and hear if we think you should have watched it when you had the chance.
Dun, dun, dun. This past week was CinemaCon. If any indication of the name tells you what it is a conference for cinema. I believe it's only for industry people, though. I don't think us commoners.
For industry people and for movie theaters.
Oh, okay. So us commoners couldn't go. Because you were like, maybe we need to go to CinemaCon. And I was like, I think we aren't allowed.
No, you have to. You have to be a part of the press at some level.
Part of press. Okay, cool. But basically, what it is a conference for, think of Comic-Con, but for movie theaters and movies, just like strictly just movies. So we're talking the studios coming in and showing what they got as far as new movies, trailers, first footage, announcements, all that jazz. Yeah. So we're not going to go over every single studio because we'd be here all day. And we got a trip to pack for, but we are going to cover some of the major highlights of the big studios that were there. And then we do have a couple trailers in the trailer park, and Buncha Crunch is long because we put everything else in there that didn't fit in the CinemaCon news. So first off, we'll start with Paramount. So Paramount, this happened all week. So I think it started on Monday and the last day was Thursday. Disney was last, and I think Lionsgate or somebody else was first. I can't remember the order, but Paramount was somewhere in the middle of that. They did new movies, and then they showed some footage for movies that are already announced, but we hadn't seen yet. So, and I guess another thing to note is Disney was the only studio that let people take pictures. So,
yeah.
This
encouraged it.
This is like secondhand account for everything. So everybody who was there basically had to write descriptions to give us people who are not there the best impression or whatever, because they couldn't take pictures. Except for Disney, we were able to get pictures of certain things. So thanks, Disney, for that. But starting with Paramount, they announced new movies. So I'll just read them off here. Scary Movie. I don't know if it's a reboot or a
it's just
continuation?
Gonna be, another entry into the franchise. They're just going to spoof more modern horror.
Okay, so if you're not familiar with the Scary Movie franchise, shame on you. But Scary Movie, I think there were 3 or 4 of them initially. That's where Regina Hall is probably most famous for. Maybe not now, but that's kind of where she got her popularity kind of jumped off there. Mm-hmm. They were spoof movies of like Screams and Blair Witch and maybe Final Destination.
Yeah, Scary Movie was the original title of Scream before Scream.
Oh, I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, Scary Movie was the original title of Wes Craven's Scream. Oh. And they changed it to Scream right before release.
Oh.
So then after Scream came out and it was popular, Scary Movie took the title.
Okay.
And that's how it got popular, by being a parody of Scream. Yes. Yeah.
The first couple are funny. I don't know what happened. They kind of went off the rails towards the end there. So.
Yeah, after Anna Faris and Regina Hall stopped being in them.
They weren't even. Okay, yeah. So they're rebooting that. It'll be very curious. I'm curious to see if it will work.
And the Wayans brothers, when the Wayans brothers start being involved.
You're right. You're right. I'm curious if this is going to work. Parody movies don't. No. Jay's calling it now. I'm not excited about it. I mean, parody movies don't seem to do. What's the last good parody movie that even came out?
Yeah, the era of parody movies kind of died.
Yeah,
that was because it wasn't. Well, they ruined it by doing Scary Movie, and then they made an epic movie and disaster movie. They tried to do
there was like a whole universe of spoof movies, and it got not funny very quickly.
There was Super Fast, which was a spoof of the Fast and Furious.
Oh God,
movies. So they did the spoof era.
It wasn't funny.
Yeah,
it got not
put
funny.
Themselves under the guillotine.
Okay, so we'll see. They'll have to get real creative for this one.
Oh, and what made Scary Movie popular was the most inappropriate things that you could not do on TV now.
So bad.
Or in movies. You just couldn't do it.
Yeah, kind of how you watch like maybe The Office or Parks and Rec, and you're like, yeah, that joke is still funny. Or Rush Hour, and you'd be like, that joke's hilarious. Absolutely could not say that now.
Certain images, certain language, certain words, which made it popular,
just
you
not
just do anymore.
Yeah, so that's going to be real interesting to do in this current climate. But some other movies Paramount announced was an R-rated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Not sure what the audience is for that, but
it's actually a popular.
It's based off a comic, right?
Yeah, it's popular, kind of like the Elseworld. It's Elseworld's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
Story. Just like Elseworld's Superman and Batman are awful, and it's dark and grim. It's the same for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
So, I don't know if adults are going to be wanting to go see this.
A lot of adults are the ones who, the only ones who really know this story are adults, because it was a very graphic comic book, and it's grim. It's my new favorite word.
You said it 3 times in the past 48 hours.
It's about all the turtles are dead except for Raphael. He's the last one, and he goes basically on a Kill Bill revenge spree against the ones who killed his brothers. And it's set in like a Mad Max-esque future.
That doesn't sound bad. It's just the image of a turtle doing this is throwing me off.
Yeah, think of, you know what? A lot of Logan pulls from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because Logan was the last of the X-Men after a tragedy.
Interesting.
And everything was so kind of like dark and desolate.
We'll see. I'm curious of how they pull this together in terms of getting our audience for like I don't think we've ever had a movie that's rated R for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Well, none of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have been good movies except for the animated one, but none of them, even the one that is good, none of them have been box office successes.
They have not.
So
not even award winners.
Yeah, either. None of them have been box office successes. None of them have impacted anything of note.
Yeah,
and now you're making it an R-rated movie, which narrows the audience even more.
I think they're kind of like, this our last ditch effort on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for a couple decades. So let's see what we can do. But other movie that was announced was Star Trek Origins. I have not seen any other Star Trek movies, and I know I need to.
You should see the
first 2, right?
The first 2
are good.
I think they're the J.J. Abrams.
I think so, with Zoe Saldana and Chris Pine.
Yeah, you should watch the first 2 of those. Don't watch the last one, unfortunately, even though that one has Idris Elba in it.
I had
as
no
the
idea
villain.
Idris Elba was in it.
He plays the alien villain. He's covered in like alien makeup the whole movie.
Gotcha. See, that's probably why I didn't know. Yeah. All right. Star Trek's a big franchise though, so I'm not surprised they're still trying to ride that wave. And then maybe the biggest announcement that came out of Paramount's presentation, I'll call it, was the Transformer and G.I. Joe crossover film, which we knew was coming, but we were kind of like, are they really gonna do it? And they are. So if you did not see the last Transformers movie, the after credit scene was basically introducing G.I. Joe world to Transformers. I believe the crossover existed in the TV show.
Yeah, the Transformers has crossed over with G.I. Joe.
Okay.
They've fought Godzilla. They've teamed up with the Avengers and with the DC universe. Like, yeah.
If they do this right, this will be a smash hit. If they do this wrong, it will be dragged to heck and back for all eternity. I think it's going to
be a smash hit irregardless.
You think so?
Because literally,
Snake Eyes was awful, by the way, and that's a G.I. Joe movie.
This movie is literally just them making a film of all the little boys who grew up banging their toys up against each other, banging their Optimus Prime and G.I. Joe figures up against each other on their living room floor, making all the noise in the world.
I'm curious who is going to... I don't even care about the actors. We don't care about the actors in Transformers, or probably... I mean, G.I. Joe maybe a little bit more, but who's going to direct this is what I want to know. I think that's going to set the tone for...
Yeah, don't bring back Michael Bay.
Yeah... We don't need a sexy G.I. Joe.
Well,
lady.
and they have to. Yeah, I guess they do have to do it right. They have to think of a threat that's big enough to where the Transformers just can't stop it by themselves.
And they need G.I. Joes.
And also the G.I. Joes are also extremely overpowered. So it's like, what other threat?
Right. Thanos.
It can't just be Cobra. Right, exactly. So
they need a Thanos level threat. We'll see. I think the biggest thing for this movie will be, who are they going to get to direct? Nobody's going to care about the actors for real. They can literally get anybody to act in this movie. Voice work will probably be more important for the Transformers, but literally, who's going to direct it? Speaking of Transformers, so some of the footage that got shown from Paramount was Transformers 1, which is the animated movie coming out. It has Chris Hemsworth as
Optimus Prime.
Okay, Chris Hemsworth, Optimus Prime, and Brian Tyree Henry is Megatron.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Which I don't think I knew he was Megatron.
No, I would have guessed it was Lawrence Fishburne because he's also in this movie.
The voice cast for this movie is pretty stacked. I think Scarlett Johansson is also in this one.
Yeah, so it's Chris Hemsworth, Brian Tyree Henry, like you mentioned. ScarJo is going to be in this. Lawrence Fishburne is going to be in it. John Hamm from Mad Men, and Keegan-Michael Key as well.
Okay, so this is a prequel Transformers movie. It's going to show a young Optimus Prime and Megatron as they were friends, because they had that whole Charles Xavier and Magneto situation.
Yeah, so it's basically Transformers First Class.
Boom.
Yeah.
Some of the descriptions from the footage, like I said, we didn't get to see none of this, so this is like second, third hand. Yeah. People said they would have to get used to Chris Hemsworth voicing Optimus Prime, because we're all used to OG Optimus Prime. I don't think we've heard him young
Australian Optimus Prime.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting, but that'll probably be a smash hit as well.
No notes on Brian Tyree Henry as...
I didn't see anybody.
So he was fine, I guess, because nobody mentioned his performance at all.
So I guess no bad news is good news. Okay. We'll take it that way. Some other footage that got shown was Gladiator 2. So this will take place 24 years later after the original Gladiator. I don't know if we knew that before or not, but Paul Mescal will play an adult Lucius who was a kid in the first movie. Denzel Washington is supposed to be his sponsor. I also saw another tweet that said that Denzel Washington looks like he's also a manipulator, so he might not be like a straightforward good guy in this movie, which I'm down for that. I'm down for good, bad Denzel.
His sponsor, so he's like his Lenny Kravitz from Hunger Games?
That's what it seems like.
His Senna?
Yeah, yeah, that's what it seems like. Joseph Quinn, who is also Johnny Storm now, is going to be an emperor, so he seems like he's now he's like a
Caesar-esque character?
Or like what Joaquin was in the first one. So that's what he seems like. And then Pedro Pascal is playing a gladiator, and I guess in the precipice of the movie is Paul Mescal and Pedro Pascal. Oh wow, those last two names are very similar. We'll have to fight.
Lucius was in the first Gladiator?
He was a kid. Lucius was
not Rebecca Ferguson, but the main chick's son.
Correct. Her name. She's actually also in this.
And
Let me
whose
look her up.
son was she?
He was her son.
Yeah,
but the dad wasn't around. Dad was dead or something.
Okay, because I know that she was with Joaquin Phoenix.
She wasn't. Right. Connie Nelson was the mom. Lucius was the boy. So Lucius is now grown up.
It's interesting that Lucius is now in the ring. What happened?
I don't know why he's now.
Because he wasn't a slave. So
right. Maybe he just grew up wanting to be a gladiator because of Maximus.
Want to do that.
I don't know. He technically should be royalty too.
Yeah,
so
I was about to say, why is he?
Maybe something has happened to where he's not like high ranking anymore.
And now he's with the slaves? That's crazy. But okay.
No. The biggest thing that came out of the footage was, and I don't know how this is going to work because the original Gladiator was very ground level, like realistic. Like there wasn't any crazy animals or optics that he was fighting a lion. But in this movie, there's gladiators will be facing a 3-headed dog, baboons, and a giant rhino.
Yeah, so it's Clash of the Titans.
Why though?
It's because it's Ridley Scott.
But no.
Scott is a lunatic.
The original movie did not have 3-headed dogs.
Ridley Scott is off his rocker.
Where would they have
has
come
been for quite some time?
But where would they have? I feel like the original Gladiator was based in reality.
Yeah, it was more of a historical epic.
Correct.
This is Hercules.
Are they on a different planet?
No,
they're on Earth with a 3-headed dog.
A lot of stuff in this does not make sense. It doesn't make sense why Lucius is a gladiator. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Where did the Cerberus come from?
You can explain like people getting demoted. You can't explain a 3-headed dog.
What about? Is this in the ring? Baboons and a giant rhino?
I think the gladiators are fighting like these different types of animals.
Okay, so we've gone completely into fiction.
Yeah, which I don't think I like
honestly.
that.
This is fantasy. Giant animals. This is fantasy.
I want this to be great because it's got Denzel Washington in it.
You should go in with it with shedding all of your attachment to original Gladiator.
I can't. It's called Gladiator 2.
Other than the setting, it doesn't seem like this is going to be anything like the original Gladiator.
So I'm reading it and it says 24 years after original, and it follows Paul Mescal as Lucius, a renounced nobleman who enters. So he's renounced.
That's stupid.
Yeah. And then Denzel Washington's character is his sponsor and he coaches him throughout the footage. Joseph Quinn is like a blonde-haired emperor, and then we got Pedro, who is a gladiator.
Did Russell Crowe have a sponsor? I mean, he had Jayme and Hansu, and they were all friends, but weren't they all just slaves?
Sorry, we have 3-headed dogs.
So this is the Hunger Games.
Sure.
It's not. Okay, cool.
No.
Cool.
I'm worried.
I can go into it knowing that this is going to be like Hercules. This is Hercules.
I'm worried.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried for this one.
This isn't Gladiator.
This movie is set to come out this December, I believe. So we'll see. We should be getting a full trailer like that. Either this trailer or some cut of a trailer released to the public here pretty soon.
It seems like they're turning it into a blockbuster.
I mean, it's expensive as heck, remember?
Yeah, well, the other one didn't have 3-headed dogs. That's why. So
right.
That one wasn't a blockbuster either.
November 22nd. So this will be a Thanksgiving movie. So we know where we'll be after dinner. So next up on the docket that we are going to talk about is Warner Brothers. They showed the first footage for the movie Trap, which is a horror movie from M. Night Shyamalan starring Josh Hartnett. Now, when we first heard about this movie, I did not realize that Josh Hartnett was the killer, which I feel like they should have saved. But apparently Josh Hartnett is a killer who's being trapped at a concert because he's at a concert with his daughter and the cops are trying to trap him at this event. Mm-hmm. And that's why the movie is called Trapped. But I feel like they should have saved the piece about him being the killer either in the movie or till like everybody got the trailer. Because now I'm kind of like, I don't want Josh Hartnett to be a killer.
And I hear that, but also it's M. Night Shyamalan. So that means the twist is something else ridiculous.
He's an alien?
Probably.
Okay.
So if they've given you too much in an M. Night Shyamalan movie in the beginning, that means the end of it is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah. It says Josh Hartnett leaves his daughter to go to the bathroom and notices a lot of police outside the venue. He's known as the Butcher, who's known to kidnap and chop up fans. Nice. That's original.
Interesting.
I like Josh Hartnett in Oppenheimer. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I'm interested in seeing this just because he was good in Oppenheimer. And he hasn't been in anything
career
in a while.
Resurgence for him. So.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. All right. Another bit of footage that we got was for a movie we are extremely excited for, but got moved. It's not actually coming out till January, and that is Mickey 17. This stars Robert Pattinson, Mark Ruffalo, Stephen Yeun, Toni Collette. Robert Pattinson is a man who gets killed and is cloned 17 times during difficult missions. So it kind of sounds like he's not a RoboCop, because they didn't kill RoboCop over and over again, right? He always got to come back.
The goal wasn't to get. RoboCop was not expendable.
Okay. So Robert Pattinson's playing Mickey, who clearly they don't care about, and he keeps getting killed over and over again. It's based off a movie called Mickey 7, but the director decided to up that to 17. So instead of getting killed 7 times, he would be killed 17 times. Stephen Yeun plays his coworker. Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette play an unhinged couple trying to get rid of all the Mickeys. It sounds like the movie, there's some sort of glitch between, I guess when Robert Pattinson gets cloned, the old one doesn't die or something.
Yeah,
so it ends up being 2 of them.
One ended up living.
Yes. And you can't, there's not supposed to ever be 2. So also in the clip that they show, Mickey 17 and 18 look to have to fight to each other to survive.
So it's kind of like Ghost in a Shell.
Okay.
With Scarlett Johansson, where she died and then they put her in the Scarlett Johansson body as like a robot. And then to come to find out, she had to go up against the first dude they did it to, who was like who was all weird and messed up and half put together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What I got from people's reaction is that it looks amazing. Super excited for it, and it seems like it'll have a bit of comedy. Like it won't be just straight, your favorite word, grim and dark, but it seems like he dies in quote unquote hilarious ways. So it was giving me, what's our favorite Tom Cruise movie? Live, Die, Repeat. Day After Tomorrow. Yeah. Where he has that segment, or there's that montage of all the different ways he dies. It seems like we might get some of that. And I mean, it's gruesome, but I like when they do that.
The director is Bong Joon-ho, who made Parasite, and that had like dark comedy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that. That is unfortunately not coming out till January, so we got a while, but hopefully we get the trailer that they showed here pretty soon. And then another movie that they talked about, which we'll talk about in the trailer park, is Joker, Folie.
I do.
Folie, I got it. Bing, bing, bing. So the second Joker, they finally dropped the trailer, but we will save that for the trailer park. And next studio, big studio, save the best for last, you might want to say, was Disney. So first thing we got for movie news, and Disney talked about a lot more stuff. Actually, all of these studios talked about a lot more stuff, but I just got the high points here. Yeah. So for movie news, Thunderbolts asterisk, how we gonna say this?
Just Thunderbolts and not address the asterisk.
Okay, so the official Thunderbolts title, and you can only see it if you Google it. There's an asterisk on the end, and it's like official.
It means maybe served raw, like on a menu.
We don't know. The original Thunderbolts logo, first of all, they changed the logo and it looks real Canva-like, but whatever.
They do that all the time.
It's ugly. I don't like the new logo, but the new logo has an asterisk on the end, and everybody was kind of like, I'm sorry, what? So Kevin Feige, he was at the presentation. He says the asterisk means something, but we won't know until after the movie. So there will be plenty of theories, discords, and guesses or spoilers about why there's an asterisk on this title. They've never done that before. Another thing that came out about the movies were Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts will be filmed entirely in IMAX, which I think is a first.
Yes.
Okay.
Shot for IMAX.
Which tells me visuals will be on point, especially for Fantastic Four. I feel like it has to be, right?
Yeah, I guess. Fantastic Four, absolutely. Thunderbolts, I don't know. I feel like they're doing that for Thunderbolts because that's the thing now. Because Civil War was also on IMAX.
Oh, was it?
It was.
Okay. Although I will say, seeing...
even though...
This is going to be blasphemous, but I don't feel like we needed to see... We did see Oppenheimer in IMAX, and I was just kind of like, okay.
Well, because we thought we were going to see at least the atomic bomb.
Yeah.
And that would have made sense, but you never see a bomb in Oppenheimer.
No. So, you see the test bomb, but not the actual
Outside
bomb.
of just some of the wide shots, there's no benefit to seeing it.
Yeah, I get it. It's a thing. Directors love IMAX.
Yeah.
XD
like
will be the way.
Dune had giant ships and stuff.
Right. We saw Dune in XD, right?
Yeah, Dune had giant ships and landscapes, so that made sense.
Right.
I mean, you saw a lot of space on the screen. They didn't really do a lot of stuff with the space in Oppenheimer.
Beautiful gowns.
Good movie, though.
Great. Good movies, but I think we'll be in XD for both of these.
Fantastic Four, absolutely.
I actually would maybe Dolby for Fantastic Four. Maybe. Oh, we hate the Dolby Theater.
I don't know about sound.
Yeah,
I just think
right.
because Fantastic Four is supposed to be in a 60s retro future.
Yeah.
So what the future,
and they might be jumping.
So it's gonna be
space.
we're thinking Jetsons
right.
looking future.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So I would like to see that on a big screen.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we got some new footage for some Disney stuff. First up is Alien Romulus. Do I say that right?
I think it's Romulus.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't a trailer. I think it was just actual footage from the movie. It shows the lead, Hailee Steinfeld, who is also in Civil War. Yes. I just realized that today.
And Priscilla.
I knew Priscilla, but I did not know she was also. I was like, wait a second, why does name sound familiar to me?
Yeah.
She's leading Alien, so good for her. But
or sorry to hear that, whichever.
I was just about to say.
Because you're probably going to die awfully.
Because in the clip that was shown, apparently her and the crew are trying to survive face huggers, and there's also another female crew member who's got a chest bursting alien kind of trying to kill her. So they apparently showed two different clips. One clip was just with face huggers. One's with chest busters. I don't know if that's the official name or not.
That's what chest bursters.
That's what it is. Mm-hmm. Okay. We're very excited for this, even though it looks super terrifying. This actually this is an XD movie too, honestly. I mean, you got to see
absolutely.
Aliens on the big
space.
Screen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Alien Romulus is coming. Another thing we got some new footage for was Mufasa, the Lion King movie. This is animated. The tweets that I saw said it looks a lot. The style is the same as the Lion King that they just remade not too long ago, but they're taking us to different places. Mm-hmm. So we're not just in what do they call that? The African safari. We're
Sahara?
The Sahara. We're also going to some swamplands. Apparently, we're going to some ice-capped snow mountains. I don't know how lions survive there, but whatever. Okay. Whatever. It's Disney.
Yeah,
make it happen. It looks like Rafiki will be doing the narration here, so he looks like he'll be kind of like the watcher in this movie. Barry Jenkins is directing this, and he said it will be some of the same people that did the production for Moonlight. So that will be good.
Okay.
We'll see. I'm curious about audience reception because the reception for The Lion King wasn't great.
Yeah, and the reception for The Lion King was negative only because they didn't do anything new.
They did not do anything new. It was just a beat
for beat.
And this
live
is
action. And
we already know Mufasa's story, so I don't know. He also said that he was kind of nervous about taking this job on, but he thanked God that he did it. Like, it was one of the best projects.
Probably went into it with the same mindset the rest of us has. Like, do we need this?
Yeah, but necessary? It sounded like they might have given him some creative freedom to kind of do what he wants.
Cool.
Which you should, because he's Barry Jenkins. Yeah. So that is coming this December, I believe. And then going on to Marvel, Captain America Brave New World, we got some footage. Well, I say they showed some footage for, but we ain't get to see it. It looks like Isaiah Bradley will be Winter Soldiered like Bucky, which I knew he was going to be in the movie, but I wasn't sure how much. But it looks like he'll be in it a little bit, which I'm good for. I don't know if he's going to be fighting, because he's kind of old. But you said Super Soldier Serum don't.
Super Soldier Serum does not.
He's still kind of old, though.
It doesn't affect your age. It's about peak human condition.
All right.
Regardless of the age.
All right, fine. So he's going to be kicking butt like Bucky. Ross is saying that he wants to build up the next Avengers. So Thunderbolt Ross is being played by Harrison Ford, which we already knew. There seems like there's going to be some tension between Ross and Sam, which is not surprising because I believe the premise is that the president has an ulterior motive.
Well, Ross is a bad guy.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thunderbolt Ross is a bad guy.
So, and he's supposed to be turning into Red Hulk, we all think.
Yeah, he's like the evil version. He becomes the evil version of Hulk.
Gotcha. Kevin Feige said that this movie will be grounded, kind of like Winter Soldier was. So, 2 thumbs up for that because I think
maybe that has to do with the asterisk.
But that's Thunderbolts has got the asterisks.
Yeah, but because they're under Thunderbolt Ross puts together the team, but they're not introducing him in the Thunderbolts. So maybe that has something to do with the asterisk.
Brave New World comes out before Thunderbolts, right? Yes, I think so. I wonder if they're going to change the title completely. I wonder after Brave New World comes about, they go, psych, this is actually this movie.
Well, they said
with the same people.
I guess so, maybe.
Interesting. So yeah, reception sounded good. I didn't see any negative tweets about Sam or the suit or Harrison Ford.
I saw plenty of
what?
We want Steve Rogers back.
Please, that man is dead.
Yeah.
Or old too. Now he too old to be doing anything for sure.
He's not coming back.
Thank you. He's done.
If that's going to keep you from going,
just
don't
come.
come.
Right. It looks like Sam has an upgraded suit though.
Yeah, I mean they which I don't like that when they do this. They did the Winter Soldier thing to his suit, which I like the stripes. I like the colors. I like the white.
Oh, they kind of muted it down.
The star and the circle and the stripes. And they did
it looks more military.
They did the Winter Soldier thing that they did with Steve's suit, where they just made it all navy blue.
I didn't like. Yeah, so, I actually recently watched Winter Soldier. It's still really good. So
I love when they give them new suits between movies. I just thought he would keep the same color scheme because it's different. I mean, he just looks like he blends in with the rest of a bunch
I
of
got you.
Who's
to say he don't get another suit mid this movie?
Probably.
They also do that.
Is this suit also vibranium? Did Wakanda make this one too? Because
he would need.
If they didn't make this one,
well, he would still have his wings though, right? Separate from his suit.
The suit is supposed to be vibranium.
Yeah, you're right. We'll see. I would like some Wakanda action in Brave New World because they still they're not space related. They still ground level. And then the big one for Disney was the Deadpool and Wolverine. They showed 9 full minutes of footage there.
A spoiler free footage, which they said it wasn't spoilery. So
I feel like one point. So it seemed like there's a lot of cuss words, a lot of crude jokes. It is very rated R from what I can tell. Certain words were used and I was like, are they about to say this in a Marvel movie? Okay, fine. Wade and Wolverine seem to be tasked to solve the sacred timeline, which caused some confusion for everybody.
Yeah.
Because we were under impression Loki got rid of the sacred timeline, but Deadpool sits in his own space.
So according to a lot of people on Twitter, Fox has its own sacred timeline. There's the MCU sacred timeline, which Loki addressed, and then the Fox sacred timeline is different.
Where the X-Men are.
That is why it's not the same TVA.
Oh, it's not even the same TVA.
Yeah, there's a TVA that manages the Fox timeline, and that's why it has nothing to do with the TVA from the MCU.
They got us again. They got us.
They actually, a lot of people posted screenshots of the old monitors inside the TVA.
Yes.
And they say if you look at the monitors, you can see there's their timeline. And then on a different screen, they have Loki's. What Loki has done.
I feel like I need to go back and watch the trailer.
So they're trying to prevent what's happening with our timeline, what's going on with their timeline.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that explanation.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think of it being.
I didn't think of that either.
I didn't remotely think of it being, because we were like, this TVA looks different than the Loki TVA. Like, how are they going to explain the different, just the environment, the look, the feel? It just looks like a totally different TVA, but it is.
Well, what I want to know.
Very interesting.
What I want to know is if Tiana Paris is in the Fox timeline. Because
she would have to be.
Are they going to say that the X-Men are in a Fox timeline and they're in a separate timeline in MCU, or did she just bump over to the Fox timeline?
She had to be in the Fox timeline because that's where the X-Men are.
Yeah,
that's the only explanation.
Because then it would be like there are too many different versions of X-Men.
Yes,
already.
Correct.
So,
but you can't do that. That's crazy. I didn't even think of it being a different TVA altogether.
Yeah.
Now it's like making way too much sense to me.
Because I was like, I was
all
always
coming
confused.
together in like the last 30 seconds.
TVA agents that we are used to, but it's
Correct.
like that's not the same TVA.
And because we all assumed it was because we've seen leaked set photos with the TVA jackets, and we're like, well, where's our TVA people at that we've grown accustomed to?
And that would explain why he's killing so much of them. Because I'm like, the TVA is good guys now because Loki turned them all into good guys.
What if this TVA is like,
and they're about protecting?
Is like Hydra. They're not so good.
Maybe, clearly, because he's murdering them aplenty in the trailer.
This explains why Kane can look different. Totally, if it's a totally different TVA and a totally different,
it could be a different Kane.
It could be a totally different looking Kane. Yeah. That man might not even be black no more.
Yeah.
That might be somebody else. Oh, it makes so much sense now.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Apparently, another trailer, a full trailer is going to be released in May.
They have to. Yeah, they need another, because we've been getting the same one in movies. Like, we got it.
Yeah.
We got it.
So another full trailer will come out in May that might add some more context.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or they'll keep us in the dark. Either way, this is gonna blow the box office out of the water. Everybody seems extremely excited about it. Kevin Feige was dropping F-bombs in the presentation. He was like, I can say that because it's R-rated. I actually listened to the clip and I was like, Kevin, it don't sound like you cuss very often. Just stop. Please stop.
No.
I was like, this seems unnatural. Don't do it anymore. But the funny thing, I think the funniest thing about this is that Deadpool comes out the same weekend that we are at Comic-Con. So we are going to have to manage to find a way to watch this, review it, and get our podcast out all in the same weekend. But really? God will provide. Yeah. All right. Anything else you got to say about all of the different movies that just came out and announced?
No. On to the trailer park.
Beep, beep.
So the first trailer we have this week is for Joker 2, or as it's officially titled, Joker Folie à Deux, which means Folly of Two.
Okay. I mean, they're playing on two quite a bit. Like, yeah, so it's the second one is two people focused in the movie.
This is the Joker and Harley Quinn movie, and it is about, it's going to pick up right after where the first Joker ended, where he was imprisoned. It looks like he's in Arkham Asylum. Lady Gaga, who is playing Harley Quinn, is also in Arkham Asylum. Very interesting that they made her an inmate.
And not just so when you said, I also saw when you were saying what the meaning was, somebody also said that Folie à Deux is a mental disorder shared between two people. So maybe they're making her,
that makes sense, but
they're making her a patient versus making her the doctor, which I think is different.
Yeah, it looks like, because when they meet in in regular lore, Harley Quinn lore, she is his therapist inside Arkham, right? And he makes her crazy, correct? But they still follow the same track after that. But now it just seems like she's not. She's just in there, just like he is.
So they're like, both making each other crazy. Yeah, I mean, he's already.
I mean,
crazy.
I guess. I mean, the movie will probably be good, but that kind of takes away from Harley Quinn a little.
Well,
bit.
It makes it less of a Joker movie. They didn't really have to call this Joker. We already established that this could have been anybody.
Yeah, but it's for SEO and name recognition. But I like the fact that Harley Quinn used to be a therapist, graduated with her master's, was
educated woman,
well renowned, because it makes more sense when she has those character breaks when she's lucid for a minute, or when she's able to point out other crazy people's issues, because she is a licensed therapist.
We do see her in the trailer outside of Arkham. It looks like it's maybe the periods, because she's like walking up some stairs or something, the periods before she got in. So maybe she was,
maybe she just got and turned upside down, just like a lot of people in Gotham did.
But not by Joker.
So
interesting. They are making a point to say this movie is not a quote unquote musical. But music is a big part of Joker's life. Yeah. I feel like they're trying to hide it, like they did with Wonka, where none of the Wonka trailers showed any musical numbers.
Well, it's prison choir.
But there's obviously scenes in the trailer that you're like, that's a musical number. That's a musical number. Yep, they're going to be singing right there. And that's going to be a song as well. There's no way.
So it looks like Chicago, which you had said you hadn't seen.
I had not seen
Chicago. Is such a good
movie.
I
think is funny for you to say, Mr. I don't like musicals.
It's more like a play. It's like they filmed you know what? Chicago is literally Color Purple.
Or Hamilton?
But if they made a play... Well, yeah. Well, no, not
closer
like
to
Hamilton,
because
Hamilton is a filmed play.
Got you.
Chicago is shot like The Color Purple. Okay. But it's very much just a play. Like, the sets, they shoot everything from the front. Okay. So it looks like a stage. The sets move around the characters.
Oh, so that does sound like Color Purple.
Yeah, as they move around to different rooms and stuff like that. And the musical numbers are all like stage shows, but they're like in the characters' minds.
This is definitely you describing Joker.
If you've seen I can't believe you haven't seen, you don't know he had it coming. He had it with Maya and Lucy Liu and all the.
I've seen clips of Chicago. Wait, is all that jazz in Chicago? And Catherine Zeta-Jones is singing it.
Yes.
I've seen clips. Yes. I just have not seen the whole movie.
Chicago is a really good movie.
Because I thought it was more like a standard musical like La La Land or something?
No, it's about a women's prison.
Okay.
But all of the women are mostly stage actor or stage performers.
Okay.
Who have all tried to kill their husbands. And usually it's because their husbands are trash, cheated on them or tried to kill them.
Okay.
And Richard Gere plays like the
warden or something?
No, the warden is Queen Latifah, and who is also a former stage performer.
Okay.
But Richard Gere plays the lawyer who is trying to help Renee Zellweger and Catherine Zeta-Jones out so they can go back to being famous.
Oh, I have to watch that then.
Yeah, it's very good. It's got a lot of cameos. Maya's in it. Lucy Liu is in it. Every time they bring in a new woman inmate, it's a actual celebrity.
Okay.
Like an actual actress.
I have to check that out. You describing that seems like Joker. It's how they'll do just like. With less people.
Because in the trailer, there's scenes of them. They're clearly in prison, but in the trailer, there are scenes of them like performing like on a stage, in a club, in a stage, and I'm like, you're not out of prison. This has got to be like in your guys' mind.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm iffy on this.
Or like Sucker Punch.
Okay.
Where they actually never left. I don't know where they were. What was that?
I've seen parts.
Was that an asylum?
I don't know. A safe
Sucker
house.
Punch was that Zack Snyder movie.
All right, that he said he wanted. We're not gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
Well, the trailer got a lot of good reception. I'll say that. Mm-hmm. The very last maybe 30 seconds of the trailer is great. Actually, there's a scene where Harley Quinn she like draws a red smile on a plexiglass, and then Joaquin Phoenix like smile. He like moves in frame of the smile that she drew, and it looks like his typical smile on his face. But
and then it looks like it moves to his mouth.
Yeah,
like the smile moves from the glass to his mouth.
It's framed very, very well.
Very good.
Watch the trailer if you're interested.
That was the big takeaway from the trailer.
But the last 30 seconds of the trailer,
perfection.
Was good.
It got me.
Perfection.
It got me.
I was like,
they're definitely going for awards.
Yeah,
the awards circuit like they did with the first one.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Next trailer is Fly Me to the Moon. This is a film that is going to star Scarlett Johansson, who is racking up roles. Like she's got Transformers 1. This was unannounced. This came out of nowhere.
It sure did.
And now she's in talk to do Jurassic Park.
Listen, she always take like a little break and then she come back booked and busy.
And she just did that Wes Anderson movie, which I did not know Wes Anderson is married to Maya Rudolph.
What?
Yes. Wes Anderson and Maya Rudolph are spouses, and they have been for a very long time.
It's kind of like I always forget Callista Flockhart and Harrison Ford are married.
But I never see her in any of his stuff, which is fine, but I never see them together. They never
keeping it professional
as much as I can.
Right.
But yeah, it's very interesting. But
okay.
Fly Me to the Moon stars Scarlett Johansson and Channing Tatum. This is going to release in July 12th of 2024. And it is about them faking the moon landing just in case the real moon landing is not successful.
Correct. Which I like these type of movies because it's set in the past. So I guess it's like a historical kind of movie. But I was trying to find a way or find another movie to describe like this. But it's a movie where there's kind of two plots going on. Mm-hmm. One plot is like a major world event. And then there's another kind of like B plot that's tied to it. And they're trying to do both things at the same time. And it doesn't look like super serious. It kind of is giving me comedy drama.
A lot of people say it's like rom-com.
Okay, it does seem like it's a little rom-com in there. So it's got a threeple situation of comedy, drama, and romance. But it looks cute. I like it. It looks cute and entertaining.
It looks fun. It looks kind of like Don't Look Up, where Don't Look Up has the B plot of a serious meteor coming to destroy the Earth, but then it has that's the B plot because they kind of like push that and focus on the characters and them doing like this weird thing, trying to make everybody
figure out
else
what they're gonna do.
That's what Don't Look Up was about, and this looks kind of like the same.
Same
tone.
They're in the same vein, and it relates to space. So I'm kind of already sold.
And the world's not going to end at the end. So
correct.
Yeah,
correct. It does seem like it's going to be more based in like reality versus Don't Look Up was literally the world ending.
Yeah.
So
and it did.
It did.
Yeah.
Spoil it did. It was good, but I was like, oh, we're actually going there. Okay. End of the movie.
Last trailer in the park. Speak No Evil. This stars James McAvoy and a lot of other people, which I don't know from
I don't know either.
that many
Some
other
of them
things.
look familiar, but nobody that I was like, oh, that's such and such from such and such.
Yeah, so we have James McAvoy, who's known from being James McAvoy, but he also was Professor X.
Mm-hmm. He was also in Book of Clarence.
He was in Split.
Mm-hmm.
He was in Book of... Oh, yeah, you're right. He was in Book of Clarence.
Yep. He was in It, right? He was in It.
He was in It, yeah. So he's got a pretty long discography.
Yep.
Filmography. He's not a musician.
He might be.
He might be. But also stars Mackenzie Davis, Aisling Franciosi, and Scoop McNairy, which...
Does that name sound familiar?
He was the guy in the wheelchair in Batman v Superman who Lex sent into the state capitol and blew up.
Oh, nope. No, I don't know that name then. Very minor character there.
That's the only thing I know him from.
Okay. That name
and his name is Scoop.
Maybe that's why. I just think his name sounds
That's the
funny.
only thing I can...
Okay.
I recognize him in, but it looks like he was also in Narcos Mexico.
Okay, I didn't finish Narcos Mexico.
So, yeah.
Interesting. What I did see about this movie is that it was also a version of this was made 2 years ago.
Yeah, there's a 2022 movie.
So I'm curious why they
Speak No
redid
Evil,
it.
that doesn't have any stars in it. So nobody saw it.
So maybe that's why.
Also, I believe it was a foreign film.
Wouldn't be surprised by that. The movie is essentially about James McAvoy plays a dad of a crazy family who lures a family of normal people to their cabin, and things go awry. And it seems like one of the James McAvoy's son, might be mute. And I think the family is the reason why he's mute. It's given very, I don't know if I would classify it as a horror because I don't think there's anything.
It's horror. It's classified as a horror.
Oh, so is there anything paranormal happening? Or is it more kind of like a misery?
It might be a paranormal stinger, maybe.
Okay, kind of like, what's the movie we just watched with Jack Nicholson and the hotel with the little kid and a bike and the twins at the end of the hallway?
The Shining?
There it is.
I was thinking, like, what was Jack Nicholson?
I was literally naming everything but could not figure out the name. It kind of gives a baby Shining a little bit.
It looks like it could be a Stephen King movie.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The original film was Dutch.
Oh,
So it was in Dutch and Danish. So,
Okay.
yeah.
It didn't seem to get a lot of traction. I just happened to pop up on the timeline. I was like, oh, wait a minute. James McAvoy got a movie coming out. So hopefully they ramp up the promotion for this. I don't even know what studio this is, but I like James McAvoy. So maybe I'll put a question mark on this one.
This is actually being produced under Blumhouse.
Oh, God, this might be too much for me.
It's a horror. Yeah, it's a straight horror. Jason Blum promoted it on Twitter, and he was very excited about
maybe
putting
too
this movie
much
out. So,
for
yeah.
little old me. Okay, so then it might be more like Hereditary then, huh?
It was directed by James Thomas Watkins, who made Eden Lake, which I'm not familiar with, but he made The Woman in Black, which was that Daniel Radcliffe horror movie that was a period piece where he goes to the haunted house and there's like
I remember that
woman in there.
Nope, can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check out of this, but if you like horror, this might be for you for sure.
Okay. All right, so that is all of the trailer park. Now let's pull out the Buncha Crunch.
Chomp.
First bit of news, Lionsgate confirmed the Highlander movie, which is going to star Henry Cavill. Now You See Me 3, remake of the Blair Witch Project film, and a live-action Monopoly movie are being produced by Margot Robbie. Now, not all of those are being produced by Margot.
Nah, she doing them out.
Just the Monopoly movie.
So instead of like going a whole section for Lionsgate and Universal, I just did a little quick Bunch Crunch bites. So
Okay.
yeah.
So first off, Highlander. If you don't know, Highlander is going to be a reboot of an old. I don't know. I guess it's a franchise because it's been around for a while and it's got more than one movie. But basically, that's where there can only be one. That's where I don't know if 2 men enter, 1 man leaves comes from Highlander. But I think there can only be one comes from Highlander.
As you talk, I'm going to look it up.
But basically, Highlander is about a legendary supernatural swordsman who's basically Hercules, who protects the world from the supernatural forces of evil. And there's always like an evil swordsman who has the same abilities as Highlander. And because there can only be one, they have to fight to the death to see who will be the Highlander remaining going forward. And the only way you can kill a Highlander is if you lop their head off.
Two Men Enter, One Man Leaves is from Mad Max Thunderdome.
Interesting. I have seen that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's from a movie you seen.
Yes.
You were in the kind of old movie space. Right.
Okay. The next thing on the list is Now You See Me 3. That is going to be a sequel of Now You See Me 2, but I think it's going to be more of a direct sequel to the first one.
They said the whole original cast is coming back for it.
Yeah. So the whole original cast from the first Now You See Me will be returning for 3, which is surprising because
it's been a while since the second one, right?
Well, it's been a while since the second one, and a big reason why the main woman actress from Now You See Me 1 did not come back is because she did that stunt in the tank where she had to fake, she was actually, in real life, she said she was actually drowning and they kept filming around her. She had to do the magic trick where she handcuffs herself, drops in the tank and has to, but in production when filming that scene, she actually could not get herself free from the trick chains, and she had a really bad experience filming that.
Ilsa Fisher.
Yeah,
they said she was coming back too.
Yeah, so it's very surprising that she will return for this, but it's been a while. And I can't think of anything she's been in recently, so maybe that might have convinced her to come back around.
Ching ching.
Yeah. Remake of the Blair Witch Project. Please keep it.
I'm not watching that.
The first one
had the magic, and you just need to leave it where it is.
Found footage films are usually about an hour and a half long and contain about 10 minutes of things actually taking place. The other hour and 20 minutes are just shaky cam and people standing really close to a camera lens.
Or screaming in the background.
And like a lot of people pointed out, the best part about the Blair Witch Project was at that time that it came out, it was like the first of its kind.
Yes.
Nobody knew. It was popular because nobody knew for the longest time if it was real or not.
Correct. I remember that craze. That was crazy.
This is just Paranormal Activity, which is funny because they're also rebooting Paranormal Activity.
I did not see that news.
Now it's going to be War of the Found Footage.
Yeah.
Films.
Why not? And then they're going to spoof it in the Scary Movie remake. For sure.
Absolutely. They already spoofed it.
I know.
In Scary Movie 1.
Exactly.
When the fake Gale Weathers ran into the forest. And, it was gross. But
crazy.
Boo to the Blair Witch Project reboot.
I'm not here for that.
Also, the Monopoly movie that's going to be produced by Margot Robbie. I don't see it for that, but they also announced that she's doing The Sims movie, and I do see it for that.
Yeah, she seems to be in her video game adaptation bag right now for whatever reason. I guess and
that's fine.
If it works, it works. She's gonna ride this wave.
Here's the thing: she gets to do it, and they're gonna be successful, and she gets to take the credit because somebody else is gonna do it.
Yeah,
and she pioneered Barbie.
Yeah, true,
and now they're trying to do Polly Pocket. So she saw.
Yeah,
I started a trend.
She got the vision.
I started a trend. Now y'all trying to do Polly Pocket without me. She's like, no, I'm absolutely going to just...
I'm collecting Infinity Stones of games. So good basically.
For her. Universal also announced that they're doing a Five Nights at Freddy's sequel, which makes sense. There's like 7 games in the...
That first one made so much money.
Yeah. and it cost like $4
exactly.
to make.
$4.50 maybe.
Yeah. And I think it was like direct to streaming too. Wasn't it day and date?
I think it was in the... I don't remember.
Maybe it was like streaming like within a week.
Yeah, it was pretty short window.
They made a lot of money on that low budget, no stars movie.
I think it was like the highest grossing horror film that year, if I'm not mistaken.
Open-ended because Matthew Lillard is alive. So
of course he is. Why wouldn't he be?
Yeah. So that'll be coming out in 2025, which makes sense because I can't imagine it takes long to make those.
Put it out now.
Dev Patel, we just talked about him last episode because he starred in his directorial debut, Monkey Man, that we did a review for. Please go check out that episode. But Dev Patel is in talks to join the cast of Gareth Edwards' Jurassic World.
This is interesting.
It's interesting because it makes, okay, sure, he needed, we were just saying he needed to jump in a blockbuster film.
But he's also, I guess, known to not be very I don't want to say pro blockbuster. Seems like he likes the more indie art house, smaller films.
Yeah, his track record is kind of anti-commercial.
There it is. That's what I was looking for.
This says to me, the people that he pays said, you need to do this.
Money in the bank.
To get people to go see what you want to make.
Fair. fair. That's how Hollywood seems to work.
That's
so
what
fair.
Kirsten Dunst said.
Yeah,
that's what
about Spider-Man.
Natalie Portman said.
Probably about Star Wars.
Yeah. Natalie Portman was like, yeah, I don't like making this, but I have to remind people that I'm alive by doing these movies so that they'll see me and everything else.
Some actor also said that recently, too. Oh, Javier Bardem was like, I made Little Mermaid for my daughter and I made Dune for my son.
Yeah.
And I got paid for both.
And do what you need to do to get your name out there so then the people will follow you instead of following the films.
Fair enough. Listen, that'll be interesting because Scarlett Johansson is also in this movie. So that'll be an interesting pairing.
Yeah, it will be. And we were also saying that they needed to we said it was going to be important for them to cast a good male lead next to her because they have to have like the chemistry there. And we were thinking Chris Evans, and I still think Chris Evans is a better choice.
I'm still not opposed to that.
I still think Chris Evans is a better choice to get butts in seats.
Well, I mean, his chemistry with Scarlett Johansson is obviously already there.
Ridiculous.
Right.
Like, come on. It could be literally anybody. It could be Scarlett Johansson, literally. It could be Anthony Mackie. It could be literally anybody from the MCU, and that would be like a great pairing.
You're right. You're right.
Dev Patel, I think, is a good choice.
I'm curious if the talks actually get signed.
So that's ScarJo, that's Dev Patel, that's Gareth Edwards.
They just need not to rush it. I just hope they take their time with this.
It's Gareth Edwards. He does really good work with everything he does.
I like the creator.
Some people were saying they were afraid that Gareth Edwards is going to make Jurassic Park too smart for people because that's his track record. The creator, the first Godzilla.
Why not? Change it up.
Because people are afraid of having to
something a little more original and something already established. Darn.
Yeah, right, exactly. People are afraid of anything that's not the status quo. Gareth Edwards does amazing monster or big scale like films.
I was gonna say, and he do it on a budget.
He did Rogue One. Like he knows how to shoot giant things and how to shoot them beautifully. Like, come on. So that's great.
And we have the writers from the first Jurassic Park. So
yeah, and they know what they're doing because they
together.
Created the groundwork.
It's coming together.
These films,
I'm getting a little more. I'm feeling better about this.
What is being called as Rihanna Smurf movie? Which I saw on Twitter.
I saw the same thing and I was like,
said Rihanna Smurf movie and I thought like, is Rihanna producing a Smurfs movie?
I was so confused because I was like, when did this become her? Now, I like Rihanna. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. But I was like, when did this become Rihanna's Smurf movie?
Especially when you look at the cast list, it's like
it's a pretty good voice cast.
People who you could know and like pick out of a lineup. Yeah. Like, yeah.
So, I mean, you could also pick her out of the lineup, but you could also pick the whole voice cast out of a lineup. So, I don't know. It was interesting. Marketing, I guess.
Rihanna will be voicing Smurfette in the new Smurf movie, which is coming February of 2025. She'll also be creating original music for the Smurfs movie that will be coming out. So that will be the first new Rihanna song we got in 30 years.
No, Lift Me Up from Wakanda Forever. You forgot about it, didn't you?
Dang. Yeah. So wait, does she just do motion picture songs?
Hey,
is she Billie Eilish now?
Listen, she like, y'all not gonna get no full album out of me. You better take what you can get, and you know what? I'm here for it. Rihanna, she's found her lane, and she is doing very well in it. I am curious if Smurfette is maybe the center character, and maybe that's why they called it.
Probably because it's going to be called the Smurf musical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a music. This one is, even though all the Smurf movies have like
song.
All those anime movies have like musical. This
like
is
a Disney movie.
This is going to lean more into it.
Interesting. It'll probably February is an interesary month though. I figured they would have done like a spring break situation to get the kids.
February.
February is kind of a dead movie month.
It's Black History Month.
Okay, Smurf for Blue, sir.
This is also going to star Hannah Waddingham, Natasha Lyonne, Kurt Russell, Nick Offerman, John Goodman, Amy Sedaris, Dan Levy, Sandra Oh, J.P. Carliak, Octavia Spencer, James Corden, Nick Kroll, Jolo Mariduena, and Alex Winter. These are actual people.
Yeah. So, not that Rihanna's not an actual person.
And then it just says Rihanna's listed in the cast list, but then also she's the only person with a name next to her on IMDb. The rest of the voice actors...
So it is Smurfette Center.
Yeah, the rest of the voice actors are unconfirmed. Even though she's not going to be the only woman, she's clearly going to be surrounded by a lot of other women in this film. Okay. She's the only person who's confirmed with an actual role.
So maybe it is her movie.
Yeah.
Maybe joke's on us.
And then it says, under the music credits, it just says Rihanna.
Maybe she's doing like Kendrick Lamar did the Black Panther album, where she's kind of like, she has songs and
I
then
can see that because she's been on 2 Black Panther albums at this point.
Or she's doing like a Black is King
she's
with
probably
Smurfs.
I could do this myself.
Maybe.
So, yeah. And
this is the only Rihanna album folks is getting, so we better take it.
She's a new mom. This movie is for the kids. Yeah. This lines up.
Absolutely.
She's going to do her Black is King is going to be Black is children.
Blue is King.
Blue is King.
There
we
it
go.
is.
There we
got
go.
it. It. Don't steal that from us, by the way.
On even more exciting news.
Yes. Yay.
A Monarch Legacy of Monsters has officially been renewed for a season 2.
I was so excited when I saw this.
Accompanied with multiple spin-offs in the works.
I don't know about no spin-offs. I don't care about
spin-offs. This reminds me of when X-Men 97 episode 4 came out and everybody was like, this is so good. And then Disney was like, great, because we're thinking about rebooting every animated show we ever made before in the past, in the 90s as well, because we think that you guys would like that too.
Right.
Just do
piece
season
by
2
piece.
here.
Piece by piece, y'all. Piece by piece. But we did a whole episode on Monarch season 1. So go back and watch that. We enjoyed it. The lead actress is now in Shogun. Mm-hmm. And it's been a little buzz about her getting like being in award season.
Yeah,
already.
people want her either as Jubilee in the MCU or they want her as Psylocke in the MCU.
Okay. I like her.
Yeah, she's great. She's really good.
Her name is escaping me, sorry, right now. But just Google Monarch.
Anna Sawai.
Thank you very much. I'm excited about season 2. The way that season 1 ended, I was like, please, y'all, please continue this. This is very good. It's the best MonsterVerse human monster story ratio.
And it's so good because the only thing you need to know is you have to have watched the first Godzilla 2014,
right?
Because it follows up directly after that. It doesn't reference or tie into any of the other ones.
Oh, what is the Skull Island?
Yeah, and what I was going to say, you need to have a faint knowledge of
Skull Island,
King Kong.
Okay.
Period. Just like you just need to know who King Kong is. You need to know. The only reason I think you need to watch 2014 is because so many of the scenes in 2014 are in Legacy. But as long as you know who King Kong is,
you'll
probably be able to piece the rest of that together. Also, like I mentioned, please watch Godzilla 2014. It's so good. And watching Monarch, I did not notice until I just watched Godzilla 2014 not too long ago after we saw Godzilla versus Kong or X-Kong.
Yep.
That the episode in Monarch when they set off the nuke to try to destroy Godzilla is literally shot for shot from.
That's crazy.
They added like the Kurt Russell scenes with the new characters.
Yes.
But him
on the beach,
the bomb, the scene. They added the scene where you see him look at the bomb.
Okay.
But the scene where you see his spikes come out of the ocean and the military is sitting on the beach watching, it's all the same.
That's funny.
Yeah. So
season 1 was good, y'all. Go watch it before season 2 come out, so you be ready.
Nia DaCosta is also in talks to direct the second part of the upcoming 28 Years Later trilogy.
Good for her.
Yeah, this is good for her. So Nia DaCosta is famously known as a director for the Candyman reboot. Or revival.
I want to say revival.
Yeah. Revival because it references the previous Candyman. But she also did The Marvels as well for the MCU, which we loved.
Love that movie. Also did an episode for that. Go watch that.
Please go watch that. Was that and Monarch in the same episode?
That and Loki was in the same episode.
It was a duel. Yeah. So definitely go see that. Also continue to run up The Marvels because it is so good. And I'm glad that she's got another
big movie.
Another big movie because she deserved it.
Yep.
The Color Purple director Blitz Bazawule next project, which takes place in Japan, and it is about the legendary Yasuke, an African warrior who became the first black samurai.
Didn't Netflix do a animated series on this too? Not too long ago.
I know that there was Afro Samurai, but I don't know if that was
based on that or not. Okay.
Let me see.
Okay. Blitz, if that sounds familiar to you, is speaking of Black is King, the director of Black is King, which led him to be the director of The Color Purple. So good that he is continue to get big projects. I think this is also under WB. So he must have had a good relationship there if he keeps working with him. There's nothing negative you will hear me say about this idea?
No, it sounds very interesting. I would absolutely go see this.
Who are they gonna cast? Will be the biggest hot topic.
Wasn't The Last Samurai Tom Cruise?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, listen.
So
for some reason you right. For some reason you said that I was expecting you to say somebody black, and I was like, Tom Cruise is not black.
No,
you're right.
So
yes,
that means it's samurai opportunities should be equal. Mm-hmm. Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis is said to be too experimental and not good enough for the $100 million marketing campaign envisioned by the director.
I did not realize this movie was done and ready to go.
Yeah, so he finished this film a while ago, and I knew that he did it with his own out-of-pocket money.
I did not.
He can.
The cast list is crazy, by the way. I mean, it's got everybody in it. It's huge, and I did not also know that a studio hadn't picked it up. So he's been trying to shop it around in order for it to get, released in theaters. I think not too long after this news came out about it being too experimental, I believe it's going to show at Sundance.
In competition?
Okay. So
with other films as well?
Maybe that is what will get it picked up. Like, I'm curious to see it, but also crazy that, one, it's out of pocket. Two, nobody's picked this up yet.
It's out of pocket because he can afford it.
I mean, I guess.
So, Francis Ford Coppola.
Does he own some Tesla stock or something? Like, how?
This is why Francis Ford Coppola can make this movie out of pocket.
Apple board?
Francis Ford Coppola films The Godfather.
Yeah.
The Conversation.
Don't know that one.
Which is the movie about the making of The Godfather.
Nope. Skip that.
The Godfather Part 2.
Familiar.
Apocalypse Now.
I know of it, but have not seen.
The Outsiders.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The Godfather Part 3.
The one everybody forgets about.
Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Okay.
With Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder, Keanu Reeves, Cary Elwes, and Anthony Hopkins.
Okay.
And Monica Bellucci.
Okay.
There's a lot of people in that movie. Bram Stoker's Dracula is really good.
Kind of sounds like Megalopolis.
And Megalopolis. But, I mean, that's just like some of the big ones out of his filmography.
What is his last movie?
His last movie?
Has it been that long since we had a Francis Ford Coppola movie?
His last movie before Megalopolis was Twixt. But he does... His filmography also includes a lot of small auteur films that didn't really like... There's Megalopolis.
Yes.
And then the last Francis Ford Coppola movie that I have seen was Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh.
Which came out in 1992.
I was going to say, that's old.
It's old.
Interesting.
That's the last one I've seen.
I hope it gets picked up so we can all see it and judge for ourselves.
And then he's the originator of Sofia Coppola. So,
well, he was 50% involved in that. So yes, you're correct.
And it's very funny because he has a son named Giancarlo Coppola.
I was gonna say,
but Giancarlo Esposito is also like third billing in this film, so I think that's funny. So,
okay.
Premise of Megalopolis. Megalopolis is about an accident that destroys New York City, and it's already in a state of decay. Caesar, who is the main character, who is played by Adam Driver.
Oh, I knew that. Is
an idealist who aims to rebuild the city as a sustainable utopia, while the Vino mayor, Frank Cicero, Giancarlo Esposito, has other plans.
Okay.
Coming between the opposing man and their visions is Frank's socialite daughter, Julia, who is played by Natalie Emmanuel.
Okay.
She is, she's from Game of Thrones. She's the one black girl. She got her head chopped off by Cersei.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
She was Daenerys' best friend.
Oh.
I can't think of her name.
Oh, she's the same girl from Fast and... There it is. I was going to say Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious. Her. That she did not get her head chopped off.
Nope, she lived.
But she's the daughter of Giancarlo Esposito.
Okay.
Tired of the attention and power she was born with, she searches for her life's meaning. So it has a bunch of different
storylines,
plots in it. It's going to star Adam Driver, Natalie Emmanuel, Giancarlo Esposito, also John Voight, Lawrence Fishburne, Aubrey Plaza, Shia LaBeouf, John Schwartzman, Catherine Hunter, Talia Shire, who was also in The Godfather. Dustin Hoffman, James Remar. So it's got a lot of people in it.
Is Zendaya in this movie too?
Zendaya is rumored to be in this film, but she is not on the wiki.
I was going to say, when somebody said that, I was like, since when?
I think that's one of those things where you Google cast lists and Google just adds a bunch of people.
This is who we think
you
think is in here.
I'm sure there's some type of AI that does that.
Okay.
But yeah, so it had a production budget of $120 million. He's only asking for $100 million.
Well, that's for marketing. I'm assuming whoever picks it up also has to do like distribution and stuff. I mean, I was gonna say
this is Francis Ford Coppola, and
it's got all these people in it.
You're gonna tell me the production company that released Ricky Stenicki doesn't think Francis Ford Coppola will be a successful director? I mean, in the box office.
I want to see it. After that, just wanted to make me see it more like too experimental. Let's me be the judge of that.
Let's see. Box office flops of 2023.
Fast and the Furious, Mission Impossible didn't make its money. Killers of the Flower Moon didn't make its money.
The Flash, Indiana Jones, Haunted Mansion.
I think Napoleon is barely
65,
scraping by.
Fast X, Blue Beetle, The Covenant, Beau is Afraid.
Unfortunately, the Marvels didn't make its money back.
Marvels, Transformers, Rise of the Beast, The Creator. All of these movies also costed a lot more than $120 million.
Yes, we were talking 200.
And y'all acting like Francis Ford Coppola, the maker of The Godfather, can't
do an experimental movie?
Yeah. You know who spent more on that?
Gladiator too. Oh,
when they put out that 3-hour Martin Scorsese movie.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah. That also was not a box office success. But
No.
nobody will know because Apple cooks their books. So
well, you know, they always say Apple has the money. They can. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure that the film department is not like, well, we can just keep making films that don't make money. Nobody will care.
If I had $100 million, I would give it to Francis Ford Coppola because I would make my money back because it's Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah, fair enough. I will should point out that Eleanor Coppola, Francis Ford Coppola's wife, actually passed away.
Yeah,
a couple days, or actually yesterday.
Yeah,
she was 87 years old.
So R.I.P. to her, and sending love and light to Francis Ford Coppola. And I absolutely think he should have the opportunity to release.
I think somebody's going to pick it up after the film festival in
absolutely
May.
Because
why would you not?
You're going to put bike riders through all those loops and still put it out even though nobody wanted it, even though they marketed it, then decided they don't want this
decided
no more.
You can take it back. We don't want it.
And now it's officially coming back out. But Francis Ford Coppola is the one struggling to get a movie made. It's crazy.
That is crazy.
Jeremy Allen White, who you may know as Lip.
The bear.
From Shameless.
Also, he's The Bear.
Also in The Bear.
I was like, when you said, I was like, I don't think that's his character.
He's also won a bunch of awards for being best actor
in The Bear.
In a series.
It's called The Bear.
But before that, he was Lip.
Okay. I was like, you're skipping the show.
On Shameless, which is a legendary show.
All right. Dress you out.
Jeremy Allen White will be playing Bruce Springsteen for Disney and 20th Century Fox in a film called Deliver Me From Nowhere, which is a drama that surrounds Springsteen's long effort to put together his seminal 1982 album, Nebraska. There's a lot of actors just doing like
biopics
of musical. Like Timothy Chalamet is also doing a biopic of another artist. That doesn't want a biopic done.
I can't remember his name.
No, that's Tom Hiddleston. Tom Hiddleston is doing Fred Astaire.
No, not Tom Hiddleston.
Well, I mean,
Superman. Spider-Man.
No, Tom Holland.
Yes. I was like, we're getting it. We're close.
Tom Holland is doing Fred Astaire.
Correct. Dylan. Timothy Chalamet's movie is somebody.
Timothy Chalamet is Bob Dylan.
There it is. Bob.
Yeah.
I was like, Dylan.
And now Jeremy Allen White is doing.
Although I think Bruce Springsteen, I haven't heard anything about him not wanting this.
Well, I'm just saying it's just a lot of all the newer actors who are like at the top of their game right now are all doing biopics on this.
It's kind of risky, honestly.
This next award season. Well, I think because like Maestro.
It's Oscar bait.
Yeah, we're going to have Battle of the Biopics for the next
Oscar
award
bait.
season. Oppenheimer. Everybody's doing biopics now.
Interesting. I'm not interested, but I like Jeremy Allen White.
No, and once again, the only reason I saw Oppenheimer because it was
not a straight up.
It was about the science,
right?
And a documentary. I'm not interested in any of these people's lives or the logistics into putting together an album.
But go watch The Bear.
And I'm not going to see the Fred Astaire movie because I ain't trying to piss off no ghost.
Not interested in that either. Nope. And won't be selling the Bob Dylan movie either. So yeah, 3 across the board.
And other news of people who are getting jobs: Wunmi Mosaku, who is known from Loki.
And Lovecraft Country.
Which I
didn't watch.
Jayme Lawson, who is from The Batman. Omar Benson Miller, who is from 8 Mile. And Hailee Steinfeld, who is from Spider-Man, the animated movies. But she's also Kate Bishop and Hawkeye. And she was the lead actress in the Bumblebee movie.
Oh, I forget about that. You're right.
They will all be joining Michael B. Jordan, Delroy Lindo, and Ryan Coogler in an untitled supernatural thriller called Blade.
Folie I do.
Blade 1862 is what this is going to be
basically
called.
Yeah, this is the Blade movie we don't have, or this is a Blade movie, this is the vampire movie we don't have the title for from Ryan Coogler, but he collected all the good black actresses and actors like Infinity Stones, so here for it.
Yeah, so Wunmi Mosaku played one of the agents and TVA agents, the main TVA agent in Loki. Jayme Lawson played the mayor in the Batman.
She's the mayor candidate, right?
I think she ends up winning. Oh, well, didn't the other guy get killed?
Yes.
Yeah, so she wins.
She won by default.
Love to see them in this as well. It seems like it's going to be a very black film.
Yeah.
And there's
not
rumors.
mad at that.
I don't know if there's confirmed that the bad guys might be Klansmen in this.
That is the rumor. There is
a vampire clan cult in this movie. Which, sure.
Yeah, you're on board with this more so than me. I'm gonna see it regardless. It doesn't matter what the actual plot is, but I don't know.
The best thing, something I hear about in every Indiana Jones movie is that one of the main reasons why people love Indiana Jones is because it's a fun action movie where he gets to relentlessly kill Nazis and you don't have to feel bad about it because they're Nazis. I should hear the same exact thing about this film.
I'm not protesting against it. But it's Ryan Coogler, so I already know it's going to be well done, so I have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, absolutely. Pedro Pascal is confirmed to return as Din Djarin in the Mandalorian and Grogu film.
There was speculation.
He wasn't?
Well, when they announced that was going to be the name of the movie, it was not confirmed that he was coming back to voice it. I'm kind of like, it's voice work. He'll be all right.
How about Pedro Pascal, if he doesn't know if he wants to stick in the Mandalorian verse? How about he get on the phone with Ian McKellen?
Okay. And
get on the phone with, who was Agent Smith?
Oh, you asked me way too fast.
Not Viggo Mortensen. Hugo Weaving.
There it is.
How about he do a three-way with Ian McKellen and Hugo Weaving and ask them what it's like to work in simultaneous franchises through most of their career and how successful that made them. You
know what I don't like what people say about Pedro Pascal is that he's, what is the word, overexposed? But I'm kind of like...
Overpaid?
No.
He has too many jobs?
They say it doesn't make no sense, right, when you say it? Because
he has too many jobs?
One, he's been acting for a long time and he just started getting super popular. That man kind of like, no, I'm going to work until y'all don't like me no more. Because y'all turn on people on a dime.
Yeah.
And I need to make sure I got money in my bank account.
And he's just now hitting like the sweet spot of his career. And
what did you not like about Pedro Pascal? I don't understand.
They don't like to see people win.
It's weird, but
Pedro Pascal is still going to be in The Mandalorian. He is still going to be Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards in the MCU.
He's got several things lined up. Also other smaller indie movies as
I don't know if it was him that was timid about sticking around, but you should, because
he's probably just waiting on the check.
Ian McKellen is freaking Gandalf and Magneto.
Crazy.
In Lord of the Rings is like the best film trilogy of all time.
Agree.
X-Men has some touch and go moments, but what nobody ever complained about? Ian freaking McKellen. So none of that is his issue whatsoever.
Right.
He walks away unscathed from all the
Let Pedro
X-Men
be
stuff.
the next Ian McKellen. Everybody mad at that.
Hugo Weaving.
He was Agent Smith and he was Lord of the Rings.
And
at the same time.
Some of the Matrix movies weren't that great, but
it wasn't Hugo Weaving's
was never
fault.
Agent Smith was never anybody's issue in that movie.
Not at all.
Yeah. Stick to the franchises. If you were solidified in the center of a franchise and you're a main character, stay there. Please.
I mean, I'm assuming he's going to come back and his helmet's going to be off a couple of times, because outside of that, it's literally just voice work.
People might complain about the fact that all you do is blockbusters, but those people also make less than you because they don't do blockbusters.
They also don't pay your bills.
Exactly.
So yeah.
And the other last piece of news of people who keep their jobs, Angela Bassett is going to be returning in Mission Impossible 8, which makes sense.
I liked her.
She could have been in the last one. Even though there wasn't enough space for her, but she could have been on a video screen or something.
Remember they had her picture on the wall.
In the last movie. They? Okay.
In that room at the very beginning, her picture was on the wall. So she was there in spirit.
Go ahead and just give her Alec Baldwin's job. Make her the head of MI5.
Yeah, I agree. Just don't kill her.
There's space there.
Don't kill her.
Right, exactly.
Jesus.
There's space there Tom Cruise said this is not the end of Mission Impossible. He is going to cling on it, and either he's got to go first before Mission Impossible.
Correct. We are going to be on Mission Impossible 15, and unless Tom Cruise is no longer on this earth, he is going to be in that movie.
So just make Angela Bassett the new M, because it seems like they were kind of teasing that in the last one she was in with Henry Cavill.
Yeah, and I liked her in that because her famous line is, "But that's the job."
That's the job. And then then at the end, she had that cameo when they realized that Henry Cavill was the bad guy. So yeah, go ahead and just solidify
any
her
Angela Bassett is not enough Angela Bassett. Let's put it that way.
All right, so that is all of the news on our agenda this week.
So much news.
We're going to take a quick break and get into our movie review of the week, which is Civil War.
Okay, so now we're getting into our movie review of the week, which is for Civil War. This movie came out April 12th, 2024. It's directed by Alex Garland, who also directed the movie Annihilation with Natalie Portman and Tessa Thompson, which was quite interesting.
It was an interesting movie. I will never get the screaming bear out of my head.
Oscar Isaac is also in that movie.
Yes.
It's weird.
It is.
If you like weird movies, check that out. He is also the writer for 28 Days, 28 Weeks, and 28 Years films. That was the when I would say he's got something else coming up. It's 28 years later. He's writing for that. He also created, directed, and wrote the show Devs on Hulu, which I think got pretty good reception. I didn't get into it, but the interesting part about that is that it starred Nick Offerman and Hailee Steinfeld, who are the stars in this movie as well.
I think there are a couple people in this movie who are also like a lot of the smaller roles are also from Devs too.
Okay,
yeah.
So he's kind of one of those directors that likes to use the same people, which is always good.
Yeah.
The cast for this movie includes Kirsten Dunst plays Lee Miller, who is a renowned war photojournalist from Colorado. Wagner Moura plays Joel, who's also a journalist, and he's a colleague of Lee from Florida. And I'm saying where they're from for a reason. Hailee Steinfeld plays Jessie, who is an aspiring young photographer from Missouri. And she says that Lee is her icon or her role model because she also wants to be a war photojournalist. We have Stephen McKinney Henderson, who plays Sammy. He is a veteran journalist, and he is Lee and Joel's mentor, who works for the New York Times. Nick Offerman plays the President of the United States, who's serving his third term. Something to note. And then, let's see, there's some other people in here who are not in here as much. We have a couple of people who play journalists or reporters from Hong Kong. We have some other people who are just sniper, butler, checkpoint soldier. So I won't name all of them. And then we also have Jesse Plemons, who's actually uncredited, but he plays, according to Wikipedia, ultra nationalist militant man. He's a racist. That's who he plays in this movie. But his character doesn't have a name. Nationalist. Yeah, his character doesn't have a name, and he's not credited, but he has a very poignant scene in this movie. So the runtime was 1 hour and 49 minutes, so short, sweet, and to the point. The budget was $50 million. Currently, the box office sits at $10.8 million. It's projected to do around $25 million domestically for the opening weekend. That will be A24's highest domestic opening weekend. So the movie is doing quite well. The previous highest movie for A24 was Hereditary, which opened at $13.6 million this opening weekend. So Civil War is going to bypass that by a lot.
Yes.
It's currently tracking to be A24's first ever #1 domestic opening weekend. So it will. Yeah. When this opens at #1, it will be A24's first #1 movie.
Because it's going up against
Godzilla and Kong, which has already been out.
Monkey Man and The First Omen, which didn't land good. Neither one of those two movies landed.
They weren't #1 when they opened.
Yeah, they both landed at number 2 and 3. So
usually don't go #2 to #1 with box office numbers. Is you start at where you are and then you go down. Yeah. So it will be #1 opening this weekend, which will be a first for A24. So good for them. Rating, cinema scores a B-, which is...
A B- is only good for like horror films, but when you there's context that goes in this film. When you consider the film,
I was like, how do I word this?
When you consider the film's subject matter, yes, this makes sense.
And visuals make sense.
Yeah.
This is actually, though, Alex Garland's best cinema score as a director. Annihilation got a C+, I believe, and his other movie that I didn't mention called Man got a D.
Yeah, but this is his biggest one.
This is his biggest film.
This is good.
Biggest film, B-. I think he's all right. And I'm going to get into the Rotten Tomatoes score. Critics gave it an 83 and audience gave it a 77. So by and large, most people who saw this movie really liked it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was about to do fun facts and I'm like, India, this is from Monkey Man. I don't have any fun facts for this movie. There's not really much trivia about this movie. So we're just going to get into summarizing the plot. You want to do that?
Sure. So the plot of Civil War is essentially California and Texas have teamed up, seceded from the U.S. and created a two-state nation.
Yeah.
And the U.S., what is left of the fractured remnants of the U.S. government that is run by the president,
right,
has been going to war with California and Texas. They're called the Western Forces.
Yes.
To basically defeat their military power and defeat whatever political government that they're trying to set up to absorb them back into the U.S. to return everything back to what it was prior.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the overarching point of the movie. And then we as the audience are following Lee, Joel, Sammy, and Jesse as journalists documenting this Civil War. I guess another thing to note is the movie starts in New York. What is New York as of today? And then they have to take a road trip because there's no flying around at this point. They have to take a road trip from New York to DC, but they have to go up to like Philly and then go down the coast.
Yeah, so it's a road trip movie.
It is.
It's essentially just a road. When you boil it down, it's essentially a road trip movie of 4 independent journalists.
Yeah.
Who do not all work together.
Except, I guess Lee and Joel work together.
Do they? Are they from the same?
They say they're co-workers or colleagues. I guess they're just colleagues then. Not necessarily working together. Okay, fair enough. And they may be teamed up.
Yeah.
Because I guess another plot point is Jesse and, I keep calling him Jesse for some reason, Lee and Joel want to go interview the president.
It's been 14 months since the president's last interview or public appearance.
Right.
He's just been doing
speeches
from the White House press room
right.
that are televised and on the radio. But he hasn't actually, because of it's a civil war and there are clearly people who want to get rid of him. Yeah. He's not seeing people or doing interviews. So their goal is Kirsten Dunst and Wagner Moura's goal is to drive down there through a lot of the war zone and chaos to get to the White House to interview him. And they're photojournalists.
And they need to do it before anybody else does.
Yeah, and the point is they're trying to get there before anybody else does as well. But also, there's the caveat of...
It's a civil war going on.
Anybody who approaches the White House is pretty much shot on sight at this point.
Correct. So their mentor, Sammy...
haven't fully figured out how they're going to accomplish it.
Right. Their mentor, Sammy, actually wants to... Because they have to drive up through Philly to go down through West Virginia. And Sammy wants to be dropped off in Charlottesville. And he actually is like, nah, I ain't trying to go to DC because y'all gonna get sniped on sight.
Right.
But y'all can drop me off on the way. And he's like the older guy. He's not as agile as the rest of them. Yeah. So he needs a ride to get there. And then Jesse joins kind of a sneak way, the road trip.
Yeah. She's like the kid in Jurassic Park that they take along with them.
Yes.
But she's not annoying. Well,
she's not.
She's 23, so she looks like she's much younger than she actually is.
Tendencies.
But she's like the kid in a car full of like people who are like over 40.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. So let's get into actors and actresses who we liked, didn't like, and stood out in this movie.
I pretty much liked everybody. We only really have 4 characters.
Yes, the whole movie.
And we pretty much stick with them. We have little excursions throughout the film where they stop on the road trip and maybe like interact with other people,
right? Because they need like gas and food, need to sleep and things of that nature.
So those aren't like full out characters. We do have something that takes place in the middle of the film where they meet 2 other colleague journalists, and that's a big part of the film.
Right.
I didn't dislike them. They also weren't around long enough to make an impression, unfortunately. R.I.P.
We didn't spoil it because we ain't say who that was.
No, but yeah, we didn't get much of the president, and I think that was on purpose.
Okay. I was going to say the one person who didn't stand out was Nick Offerman as the president.
Yeah, we pretty much just get one scene with him in the beginning to introduce the film, and we don't see him
until
the very last shot of the film.
Right. And we hear him because he's on the radio giving speeches, but you don't see him. So I don't know if I needed more of him, but he didn't really stand out because he wasn't in the movie that much.
It makes sense why we don't see as much of him in this movie, and the fact that this movie is very non-political.
Correct.
Because he's a president, I guess he wouldn't be able to come from anywhere that isn't political. So that might be why we don't see him as much.
Okay. And that's one thing to note as we get into, I guess, let's do our pre-spoiler comments. The movie is not political, and you would think that it would be because it's a civil war. It's called Civil War, but the movie never quite so let me get my map. I found the movie map. So there's 4 factions. There's the Western Forces, which is Texas and California. There's the Florida Alliance, which is Florida, and it goes all the way up until like Oklahoma. There's the Loyalist States, which is just a hodgepodge of everything from Maine, and then it kind of dips down.
It's like Central America.
It's like Central America all the way to Nevada. And then you have New People's Army, which is like the Northwest.
Yes.
Essentially, all the way over to Minnesota.
Yeah.
You have to see a map to really see it, but there's 4 factions, and we don't really know what the tipping point was or what you want to say. Yeah. Like, the actual Civil War was slavery. Like, we knew what the conflict was. We don't know in this movie why everybody's fighting. We just know everybody had enough.
Yeah. So Alex Garland told a reporter at the premiere of the film that he paired together California and Texas because one's in reality, one's blue, one's red.
Yeah, exactly.
On the
actual
political
reality
party map.
Right.
But he put them together because they are opposing sides in reality.
Yes.
But he wanted to really drive home the fact that it doesn't matter what the politics were, because pick one. There could be so many other, there are so many actual issues politically that it just takes a couple to boil things over.
Yeah.
But he wanted to take 2 opposing forces in real life and just really drive home the fact that it doesn't matter what it is, but something politically has gotten so bad that these 2 people have decided to band together and take on the rest of the U.S.
And I like that because some people's nitpick about the movie was California and Texas would never join forces. But it's like, we don't even know why. So how can you say that in this movie? Like, we don't know why they joined. We don't know why all these 4 different factions exist. And the movie doesn't tell you.
It doesn't tell you, but he also did say that he wanted to illustrate that whatever the president was doing was so bad that these opposing forces came together to get rid of him.
Fair enough.
So
Fair enough.
But they never tell you what the source is. Political. Whatever happened was political.
Has to be.
But they never tell you what things it was. They never tell you what the issues that were being discussed that drove it here.
Right.
It just tells you.
We jump right into the war as it is.
People didn't like things. Talks fell through and the guns came out.
Right. And I guess it also, since we're following journalists who are supposed to be reporting both sides or whatever the topic is, like it to them, I'm sure in their personal opinions, they have, what faction they might align to. But as journalists, they're kind of like, well, we're here to tell the people, to show the people through photos like what's going on. We're not really picking a side, we're showing both sides.
Yeah.
So in the essence of the movie and the point of view we're viewing it through, it didn't need to be super explained, and they literally don't.
And they don't spoon feed you. They just kind of show you the scenes. This is what's happening. This is how it is.
Very little exposition.
It's not one-sided. There is no the movie doesn't show, other than the movie illustrating that these are the different factions, and I think they did a really good job with making it 4 factions instead of 2, because 2 would make it too black and white, and people would have a lot of issues with it. They split it into 4 factions.
4 good chunks.
Watching the movie, 4 big meaty chunks of the United States, but also watching the movie, it almost didn't seem like it was it almost seemed like people weren't divided politically. They were more like every state for themselves. It seemed like more so the states just wanted to be their own things, regardless of what the politics of it were. They just didn't want, like Florida just didn't want to be part of this anymore.
Right.
They just wanted to be their own thing.
That's also an interesting way. I like you pointing out that it wasn't just 2.
Yeah.
So we didn't have that whole, oh, I'm on this side, I'm on that side.
Because it would have been the red and blue.
Yeah,
or Democrat,
exactly.
Republican, liberal, conservative, all over again. It's like, no, actually, we're not going to make it that easy.
Right. And I think it's another issue there's an article, I think a Hollywood Reporter article, where the author says, it makes you uncomfortable. The movie, I would agree, the movie is uncomfortable, but it also, I think, makes people uncomfortable because you don't have a clear, well, what side am I supposed to be on?
But
who am I rooting for here?
It also does a good job of showing the goods and bad sides of everything. And that's why I think a lot of other critics have had issues with this movie. Most of the negative feedback from critics on this film is that they left the film not being able to say who was good and who was bad.
Right. It didn't have like a political message.
There wasn't a hero. There wasn't a clear. A lot of people wanted to be clearly Republicans doing bad things,
right,
or clearly Democrats doing bad things, and they wanted to be able to walk out and say, "See, I'm good because my side wasn't the bad guys in this."
Right.
movie.
Or there wasn't even like a West. Some movies have a Western agenda. Didn't have that.
Yeah, it didn't even have that, and even like. You can't even say like, oh, there's scenes of racist people who work in the military abusing their power. Yeah, there are scenes of that in this movie, but there's like one scene of that.
Yeah.
And the rest of the movie which was very surprising to me, the rest of the movie was a lot of the military protecting journalists.
Yeah.
Actually, which I was surprised. I didn't know that that's something that they do.
Yeah, I think, and like, if you know a photojournalist, hit us up, because we had a lot of questions of like, so when y'all out in like the war zone, it's like the soldiers, depending on, it seemed it didn't matter what side the soldiers were on. They were making sure they were looking out for our characters in the movie.
So much of the movie were soldiers whipping and pulling people out of the line of fire, or saving people, or telling people to get back. Like most of the movie were soldiers. I mean, they're killing each other because it's war,
right?
But when it's about people who are non-combatants, they are doing a lot to like keep
making sure they're
risking
safe.
Their lives to keep these journalists safe, who all they're doing is taking photos, which is important. But I mean, in a firefight, they were putting.
There was one scene where one of the soldiers at the end said, "Stay out our way," but in the very next scene, they were like, okay, follow me. And I was like,
they were like, stay with me. When I move, you move.
So a lot of our characters survived on most of the part because the people they were with make sure they was cool.
Yeah.
Essentially.
So they depicted the good sides of the military. They depicted the bad apples in the military that everybody says it's only a few apples. Well, they depicted them here.
Right. Also, I would say in some parts, we don't even know who was really military because everybody can have the same gear.
A lot of people just, because you can just buy fatigues from anywhere. Like you can buy camo from anywhere. So some of these people, it's really,
you don't really know who, if they military or not.
Are you just good with a gun, or are you actually part of somebody's armed forces?
Correct. Yeah. And you don't really know with some of these things.
Because at the end, I'm not sure if it was military people that completed the mission at the end.
Or they had a lot of time to practice.
Or if it was just gun enthusiasts.
Exactly.
That had to spend a lot of time in like Dick's Sporting Goods.
Right.
Or Cabela's.
Right, before it got bombed.
Right.
So a couple notes, non-spoiler notes I had: waste no time. So we get, this movie is only 1 hour and 48 minutes, and they use every hour and 48 minutes to show the destruction that's going on and the fighting. I thought it was interesting that the press are seen as enemies. So Sammy makes the note to Lee and Joe, like, soon as y'all step foot on DC soil, like, they're gonna try to get rid of y'all, even though they have, because they're wearing press, either jackets or Kevlar or whatever with press on it, and our van says press on it. But it was interesting that even as identifying themselves, and even as they're going through this road trip and meeting other groups, the one group that might take them out is the ones in DC.
Yes.
And then my other note says, just try to imagine a current civil war happening in America today.
Yeah.
And that's literally what this movie is.
Yeah.
It's like somebody saying, okay, if civil war broke out April 12th, 2024, this is what would happen. And it unfortunately seemed like it depicted it pretty well.
A lot of the scenes in this movie looked like scenes from the news.
Yeah, or it's like today. Like, you could walk outside and be like, "This, I can see this scene in my neighborhood happening."
Yeah, literally.
Which was kind of crazy.
Riots, people standing outside waiting for water rations.
Yep.
Like, these are things that have taken place.
A camp.
The January 6th insurrection.
Yeah.
These are things that take... Yeah, we actually see like some actual historical monuments in this movie get blown up because had January 6th gone the way that it was planned to go, this would have actually taken place.
Could have been right. Except in this movie, we don't know which side was the January 6th people.
Yeah, and it's almost like, who knows?
Right. Like, can I see some ID?
I guess I don't have a lot of notes for this. My one non-spoiler note is that the film is tense.
Oh, the whole way through.
The whole film is tense.
Beginning to end.
Only like there were moments where I was like, oh, please cut to a scene of them just like chilling at
having
a bar or something.
Like,
like please get them to like some bit of safety to where I don't have to clench up and be so hunched over in this film. I don't think we got that till the last
20 minutes when they.
Yeah, once they start the road trip, it's pretty tense, and that's the beginning of the movie.
I mean, I guess it's war, so you like that's how it is, but you like. But we ourselves have not been in a war.
And the first thing that happens in the movie when Lee meets Jesse is a major I don't want to spoil it, but a major event takes place that kicks off the beginning of the film.
We like 5 minutes in.
Yeah, and it's just like, ooh, okay, well, that's how we're starting. It's bleak.
And that's how it went for the whole hour and 20 minutes at least. But,
and there are shades of like Nightcrawler in it because of the photography. I mean, they're not like the creepy serial killer weirdos like Jake Gyllenhaal was. Well, I don't know if he was a serial killer, but he was weird. Absolutely manslaughter.
He was definitely weird.
But it took me a minute to adjust to the fact that okay, these are journalists. They don't
interfere.
They are literally here to just take pictures. They can't stop. And even if they try, they would have just died too.
Correct.
There's nothing they can do.
They would have lost whatever protection they did have trying to interfere.
Exactly.
So, yep. All right, we're going to get into spoilers now, I think.
Yep.
And 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so the movie kind of opens with a suicide bombing.
Not kind of, sir. It does. And I knew it. When that girl started acting shifty and she like zipped up her bag and I was like, I
just thought it was an interesting shot to just stick on her face. It was like, oh, maybe they're just shooting like the face of like a random white woman who's at this like water station.
And maybe, I'll say, I didn't know it, but I knew something shifty was about to happen. Because she just looked shifty. Like, it's chaos, like you said. People are they're rationing out water. So you got a mom, a black woman holding her baby, kind of like, I need water. I mean, it's a good mix of everybody in this movie.
It almost, I mean, outside of like one clear evidence scene, there's not like racial tension.
Correct.
In the movie.
Right.
It's more just like everything's not awesome.
Correct. So, and you're right. So I don't think they made like they were trying to make any type of determination if she was white, a white woman, and a black woman was asking for, because everybody's trying to get water.
Yeah, everybody was in the pits.
But yeah, within 10 minutes of the movie, a suicide bomb goes off.
Yeah, so there's when Lee and Jesse are meeting each other for the first time. Lee being the seasoned legendary photographer, Jesse being the new up and comer who wants to like be under her wing. While they're like introducing themselves to each other, a random woman with a backpack that they kind of showed just for like a glimpse of a second, but she just had like this weird look on her face.
Yeah, she looks shifty.
She just looked too focused for what was happening. And she just runs out of nowhere with a giant flag. And I couldn't tell if it was on purpose or not, but the stars section of the flag was out of view. You can only see the stripes.
Oh, so you wouldn't have known, because Western forces were denoted by, they just had 2 stars in the
American flag.
In the American flag. So that's interesting. I don't know what everybody else
used. And you couldn't tell how many stars was in the suicide bomber's flag.
Interesting.
But she takes the flag, and obviously this is a thing that happens often, because as soon as she ran out, everybody bolted.
Yeah, Lee was like, I think she says like, oh crap, or she basically saves Jesse because she knew what the deal was.
As soon as they saw her run towards the water station with the flag, everybody ran and ducked, and she ran in there and blew up.
Yeah,
killed a whole bunch of people. The movie has shots of just lots of dead bodies. It doesn't shy away from dead bodies.
I think did I say this already, that this film wasn't for the weak? That was one of my notes. Yeah, not for the weak.
It wasn't gory. Like, you didn't see like parts, but it was whole dead bodies that were like bloody and burn up all over the place.
And we see a lot of people getting shot.
Yeah, we don't see like innards or anything. There's lots of blood, but
we see one guy get beat up pretty bad, but he's hanging from a car wash alive.
2 guys. Yeah,
2 guys. So yes, this movie is not for the weak. There is a lot of, like Jay said, as soon as the movie kicks off, and they start this road trip. Every place they stop is tense because you don't know if everybody got a gun. First of all, every place they go got a gun, so you don't know if these people about to be friendly, friendly or foe. Is basically every stop that they get to. Yeah. And what I like about the movie is that we actually don't spend very long in any space. No, because they on the move, and it's not safe to stay in one space, and also
it's not safe to even be traveling.
Right, because as they driving up to a gas station, Jesse sees something off in the distance, so they stop and get gas, and the guy, Lee has to negotiate gas, and it's tense because
the barter system is back.
The barter system is back, kind of like in the movie with Mahershala Ali and Julia Roberts.
Leave the World Behind.
Yes, where they have to barter for things. So they got
she offers $300 for a tank of gas, and he's like, $300 won't even buy you a sandwich these days.
Yeah, he said you want ham or cheese.
Right. So she has to give him 300 Canadian.
Yes, which is worth more. And then he's like, okay, y'all can have this gas, but Jesse actually notices, she walks around to the back of the gas station and notices there's two guys hanging from the gas station.
In the car wash part of the gas station.
In the car, and they're super bloody. One of the guys obviously has been beat. They both have been beat really bad. And the gas station attendants dudes, there's three of them, they all got guns. And like, they've been hanging here for 2 days. We don't know what to do with them. Should we shoot them or should we keep beating them?
Yeah, he said they were trying to steal. Which they were probably trying to he said looting. So they were probably getting supplies because that's what nobody's on the roads in this movie.
Correct. The roads are desert.
The world doesn't look desolate. It's not like Mad Max. This isn't the end of the world. Yeah. It's not like society has dwindled down. It's regular. It looks like it looks outside right now.
Things aren't overgrown, but some buildings are blown up.
Yeah.
So like Target is blown up. Walmart's on fire, but it's not overgrown. Yeah. It's still freshly manicured.
Yeah, we're not talking about like...
What's the Will Smith movie? I Am Legend.
I Am Legend,
It doesn't look like that at all. It looks like today, but just with things blown up and charred and burned up and people hanging in car washes.
Yeah, so cinematography was really good.
Yes.
All of the shots of like the different cities that they drove through where they show like... It kind of just looks like a lot of places people just like the war popped off. People just dropped everything and ran.
Right. We do see some people traveling like on the side of the road with like their suitcases. They end up stopping at is it a refugee camp if it's Americans on American soil? What do you even call it?
But that's part of the of the conversation.
Right. It's like a Red Cross type camp where they stop to get food, but there's tents set up for people.
And it's like in a stadium.
It's like in a stadium that's been got a lot of graffiti and stuff on it. So they obviously used to be like a football or soccer stadium.
So they repurposed it as like a safe haven for people who have been displaced because it's tents. They give you food. You can park your car there.
Right.
And you can't stay there forever. You have to.
Yes, they asked like, how long are you staying? So every place they stopped, there was something. It was either good or it was bad. Or you didn't know how it was going to turn out. Yeah. I mean, there was even a checkpoint that they drive through. And as they're stopped, you can see another car coming through. But they're like, where's your ID? And it looks like Jessie got nervous because she didn't have a press badge. Because she wasn't officially pressed. She was just kind of tagging along. And she like gets a little nervous. I was like, are they going to like ask her for her ID? And then I have it. And then it's going to be like a whole thing. Luckily it wasn't. And then we go to the next stop. And then it's like, okay, what is this situation about to be? So it's a lot of tense situations, which you would expect because we are in a war.
There's a scene where one of their stops, they stop to take a break in their travels, and they stop at a abandoned JCPenney parking lot.
They do.
And they stay there for the night. But for the night, as they're like just chilling before they go to sleep, they're just sitting in a parking lot looking out, and you can see over the sky gunfire going from one side to the other.
All night.
They're fighting all night. All night you can hear explosives and gunfire. And I feel like that's like an every night thing because they kind of have a discussion before they're with Jesse and Joel are having a discussion about how Jesse can't sleep. And Joel's like, well, yeah, that's typical. It's
right.
We're technically out in a war zone. He was like, but, and even Sammy says, as you got to nowadays, it's scary to sleep at night because you don't know, somebody could air raid you in the middle of the night.
Because you don't know what's next, I think is what
But he was
says.
like, but you also just have to get your opportunities to sleep as much as possible. Because if you're going to be afraid, but if fear is the only thing keeping you awake, you're never going to go to sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I did like Kirsten Dunst's character Lee in this movie because she seemed very realistic.
She's like Ellis Gray.
Yeah, she was like the Ellis Gray. Like, she's been through some things. She's, she's world renowned and she's, famous for her work. But in order to do that, she has like seen some things.
Yeah.
And she's obviously got that look on her face of like, I've seen some things and I don't take no BS. And like, she's trying to tell Jesse, either you here or you not here. And when you get hurt, like, I'm going to take a picture of it.
Yeah.
Because that's what I do.
I put down that she's hardened but not heartless.
True.
Because she's a world-renowned photographer. She has even says in the movie, she has a great line, which might be my favorite line, where she says she's traveled around the world taking pictures of war zones, and the whole time she was doing it, she thought she was doing it to send a warning message back home to not do this.
Right.
But here we are, and I like the fact that she was hardened because we see her taking pictures of people literally being killed in foreign countries, burned, and not being able to do anything because what is she supposed to do? Right. And she gives Jesse that speech about, and she's an adult because she looks small. So at first I was like, okay, she's yelling at a kid, but she's a 23-year-old adult who snuck into this van and she knew she wasn't supposed to be here. Right. She gives her the speech like, if you die, that's on you. I'm just letting you know I'm not going to feel bad about it because you're not supposed to be here in the first place. Right. And you're your own responsibility. And then when Hailee Steinfeld starts to cry after she sees, I think she cries after seeing the guys hanging in the car wash. That's the first time she cries.
So, yes.
And Kirsten Dunst feels bad because she made her cry. But then when she's like, it's cool. I learned my lesson. I'll make sure I'm more prepared next time. Kirsten Dunst's like, okay, cool. Right.
And they kind of have this like
mentee.
Yes, dynamic through the rest of the movie. So it's not like Kirsten Dunst beating down on her the whole movie, and it's not like Jesse is being like a whiny, you're just this and that and you're old or whatever. Like it's a respect thing going back and forth.
But then with there's been some critique about Kirsten Dunst's portrayal of the character just being like mean or gloomy, but it's also it's war.
It is war.
There are moments in the movie which surprise me where she'll laugh or tell a joke or she'll smile. There's a scene in the movie where she tries on a dress, and I didn't expect her character to do that, but she did it, and she had like a good moment with Jesse's character, and I was like, okay, they have moments of levity. Yeah. They have moments of levity in this, but this is war. Right. They're traveling through a war zone. Their end goal will probably get them killed as far as they know so far. And when you pair that up with what she said earlier, where she was like, I spent my whole life taking pictures of war and thinking that y'all weren't going to do this, and y'all doing exactly what I told y'all not to do.
Yeah, I think that was the scene where she started. I was trying to, is that was the scene where she cried or the scene, but by then Jesse finally, because Jesse, when she cries, Jesse says, I won't do that again. Because she freaks out and doesn't take a picture of something. And, she's supposed to be this war photojournalist, so she's supposed to have to take pictures of hard stuff. So as the movie progresses, she kind of gets her confidence of taking pictures of these ridiculously gruesome scenes. Like, I think the next stop we get to, there's a fight, and we don't even
know what this is about.
We don't know whose side is what. We just know two groups of people is fighting at each other. The one group captures the other group's remaining members, takes them out to a field,
and execute them with a freaking minigun.
Yeah, just like, and they don't cut out anything in this movie.
And these are American soldiers. Right. Or citizens. We don't know because they're not all in fatigues. Some of them are just in regular clothes and Kevlar and machine guns. But these are Americans taking other Americans, putting bags over their heads, walking them out to a field and minigunning them down.
It's crazy. And
enjoying it. Which, I mean, if you can Google American soldiers in other countries doing this exact same thing and taking pictures next to the bodies and smiling. Yeah, so, and they do those shots in this movie. And I think what makes people uncomfortable is like, oh, well, yeah,
we're not supposed to do that.
We're not supposed to do that here. Yeah. Right. And it's like, yeah, but it's the same people.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing it. It doesn't matter where they do it.
They're just They just brought it home.
They're taking pictures next to people they killed with bags over their heads. It doesn't matter if they're American or whatever. So,
is there anything we didn't like about this movie? Like as tense as the movie was, every scene like played a purpose.
Yeah. Are we in spoiler territory?
Oh yeah.
So I didn't like that Sammy died.
Okay.
That's what I did not like.
Fair enough. So there,
because I knew it.
Before we get to that scene, there's a scene before like I said, every stop is tense. Every stop is a thing. There's a scene where they are rolling through their road trip. They've just escaped danger probably previously before, and they see
this is where they, two scenes. So can I talk about the one that came before that?
Which one was that?
So there's a scene where they are driving
with the body in the middle of the road.
And there's a dead body.
Okay, yes, that's the one I was going to talk about.
There's the body of a soldier in the middle of the road, and it looks like his face was cut off, or he was blood. You couldn't tell it was human because of the body, but the face was very like burned up and bloody. He was dead. He was laying in the middle of the roadway.
Yep.
Clear as day, looked like a trap.
It does. It did look like a trap, and they kind of sense it.
It looks like a trap. Sammy says it looks like a trap.
Right.
Let's turn around and go somewhere else.
He does say that.
But Jesse's like, no, let's keep going. Let's just test it and see what happens.
Yeah,
if
and Lee is using her camera to like, she's got like a scope on her camera kind of, so she can zoom in and see. And she's like, I don't see anybody like
which
on
I
the
like
roofs.
That. They use Lee's cameras as like a telescope to make sure that there weren't snipers, because snipers are a big thing going on now.
Yeah. Everywhere
in this movie, every town,
everywhere
every rooftop in this movie has a sniper on it.
Two
so
snipers.
They have to keep an eye on snipers. But anyway, this looks like a trap. They inch up. A sniper bullet hits the windshield, and they punch it forward. And they take cover behind like a truck.
Yeah,
and they get out to take more cover, and they are also find out they're accompanied by like two other random soldiers.
Yes,
who are in camouflage.
Yes.
Who are hiding out, and they're like, what are you guys doing here? And they're like, there's a sniper
that you just saw.
Yeah, there's a sniper somewhere across the field in his house. And they're like, well, he asks like, well, what side is he on? And the soldier's like,
I don't know.
The soldier's like, he's got a gun,
right?
We've got a gun. We're shooting at each other.
Exactly. He said that guy was stuck. We're stuck. They shooting at us. We shooting at them.
He said no. Yeah. So he was like, it doesn't matter whose side you're on. One of us is gonna die.
Exactly. One side gotta go so the other side can keep going on what they was doing.
And he kept trying to like, and I think that was, I guess my least favorite character was Joel, because it seemed like he was clinging too hard to
make sense out of
sides.
Stuff. Yeah.
He was, and even in the later scene, which you're going to get to, when he was like pleading for his life, he's like, I'm on your side, or we're on this side, or we're all the same side. And it's like, no, this is the Wild West out here.
There's 4 different sides.
Yeah.
And at this point, it seemed like people just killing each other off of like rip.
Because it doesn't matter, because you can't tell just because somebody says they're on so-and-so side.
Exactly.
It's dangerous
and
out here.
They couldn't see each other. Like they are looking at each other through sniper rifles.
Yeah.
But everybody kind of got the same fatigue on.
And he asked the soldiers, Joel asked the soldiers, like, he was like, you're going to kill him, and you haven't even asked if you guys could be on the same side. And the guy's like, are you stupid?
Yeah,
like,
he did. He did. He asked Jesse, the soldier turns to Jesse and is like, what do you see happening? She was like, guys are shooting at us. And then he turned back at Joe like, she gets it.
Yeah.
Why don't you get
Why
it?
don't you get it?
So that was a good scene. And then before we get to the Sammy scene, there was another good scene the 2 soldiers that they are laying against end up killing the dude in the house. And then we cut to the next scene. So they survived this one.
Right.
The next scene they go to is a town which acts like nothing's happening. I mean, old ladies walking outside with their dogs, kids riding their bikes, stores and shops are open. And what I liked about
this is the only town where you see people outside walking around,
like
as
nothing's
if it's safe,
as if nothing's happening. And Joe asks the store clerk, like, "Don't y'all know it's a civil war?" And she's like, "Yeah, we try not to get into that." And I was like,
she said, based on what we see on the news, we think it's best to stay out.
Right. And what I thought during that scene was, I was like, it's weird how they feel safe. But then when we go outside, Sammy tells Lee, like, don't be obvious. Like, he hands her a cigarette because he's outside smoking. He was like, don't be obvious, but look up on the rooftops. And the thing is, the town's not quote unquote safe, they doing what everybody else doing. They just got snipers on all their roofs.
Yeah, they are doing the exact same thing.
So no place is safe.
They've joined the sniper brigade, and they've got a sniper on every roof to make sure it stays as peaceful in this town as everybody else. Because when push comes to shove, they are going to turn into the same animals as everybody else outside.
Exactly. But then after that, so they survive that. They don't get sniped off the roof. We get into the scene where Sammy don't make it, which is probably the most... We don't know it from the trailer, but this is the Jesse Clemens scene that's shown in the trailer. And it is probably one of the most intense scenes.
Yeah, it's very tense.
If not the most intense scene of the movie.
Because the movie could have ended here.
It could have. It could have. We probably would have.
Had Sammy not come through?
Yeah, we about 1 hour and 20 in. So we kind of looking at our clocks like, okay, there ain't enough time to wrap this up. Like, what is going to happen? So,
because it was looking like Jesse Plemons was the final boss for a second.
He was acting like a final boss. Yeah. So essentially, to not to go shot for this scene, basically Jesse Plemons is, I don't know what his team is doing, but they got a bunch of dead bodies.
They're just killing anybody who passes through.
And they put them in a pit. So they're digging this pit. And they got bodies in a dump truck. They're dumping the bodies into the pit. They've got basically our whole cast sitting out in this field with the 2 Hong Kong journalists.
So they meet up with 2 Hong Kong journalists on the road.
Right.
Who are also, I guess they are colleagues of Joel.
Yes.
And they're deciding they're all heading in the same direction.
Yeah, they're all going together, but they get stopped. They get sidetracked. And Jesse Clemens' character is starting to ask them, like, what kind of American are you?
Where you from?
Yes, where you from? So that's why I was naming where each of the characters was from, because Jesse is from Missouri. Joel is from Florida, but Joel don't look like your typical white American. Florida.
Yeah, so because he's obviously
Hispanic. Something.
So
his
when
character is
Jesse
anyway.
Plemons asks him what kind of, he says, what are you? He says, I'm American. He says, what kind of American? And he says South or Central.
So as he's asking them where they're from, he gets to the guy in the back of them, the guy from Hong Kong, and he's like shaking up because he's already killed one of the journalists, the Hong Kong journalist.
Yes.
I don't even know if he asked him where he's from. He just shoot that man in mid-sentence as we sitting there watching him. He asks, so the guy's like super nervous. He can't really say. And he's like, well, do you know English? Are you mute? Are you deaf or whatever? He's like, no, I'm from Hong Kong. And as soon as he says he's from Hong Kong,
he shoots him.
I know Jesse Clemens about to shoot that man. And that's exactly what he does.
Yeah.
And it's like, he don't even blink. He just says Hong Kong, boop, he done.
Yeah.
And it's just, the visuals in this movie are crazy.
Because it's just so matter of fact.
Yeah. He's just like, oh, you from where? Boop, you dead.
Like they're nothing.
You did. Because when Jesse and Lee say where they're from, he's like, oh yeah, that's American.
Yeah.
And it's like, so
they're like,
Colorado and Missouri are American, but Florida ain't? What the heck?
No, because Florida has a lot of Hispanics. And I think that's what Jesse Plemons was his character was trying to drive home. Because that's why he asked him. When he asked him, where are you from? Why would it matter? If somebody says, if a Hispanic person says, I'm from Florida, it's racist to follow that up with, okay, so you're South American. Because that's what he said.
That's pretty much that was pretty much what he was implying. Yeah. And you were thinking Joel would have also gotten killed.
I think Joel would have also gotten killed.
If it wasn't for Sammy coming through, because Sammy hung back. Sammy's like, I'm not going out there because they're going to kill all y'all.
Yeah, Jesse Plemons was pretty much clearly killed. I mean, there were white people like in the pit of bodies that they had, but he was clearly killing anybody that isn't like.
Yeah, if you weren't white, Jesse Plemons' character was taking you out.
Yeah,
it seemed like essentially. So Sammy hung back, and Sammy actually ends up saving the day because he drives over. He comes with the press truck, and drives over Jesse Plemons and whoever else.
His friend hits 2 of them.
Yeah, hits them both, knocks them in the pit. Also knocks Jesse in the pit, but she gets out. But as a byproduct of that, Sammy gets hit by a stray bullet, and he bleeds out.
Yeah, so while they're driving through the
forest fire,
because I was like, are we in California?
Which looks beautiful, quote unquote. Wonderful. But it's horrible, but it also looks
somebody
really
obviously set a forest on fire.
A big old forest on fire.
Yeah, so he dies bleeding out in the car on right before they make it to Charlottesville,
which is where he
wanted to go, because he didn't want to go into the war zone in DC.
Correct.
And it sucked.
Yeah, it was sad.
And I knew, because they introduced this character in the beginning, and he says he wants to go. And they're all kind of like, in the beginning of the movie, before they head off on the road, they're all kind of like giving their reasons for why they want to go.
Yeah.
He doesn't really give a reason, other than he tells Lee, like, I shouldn't have to explain to you why I have to be in Charlottesville at this moment during this point
he's
in
a
time.
writer for the New York Times, so I'm assuming he wanted to get like that story before the Western forces
moved in.
Yeah, I think that's what he was getting.
But also, it was kind of like I got the sense that he knew that this was gonna, whether he lived or died, this was gonna be his last hurrah, because he's so old, and this is like a big moment that's happening in American history. This is gonna be like his last big story,
right? So
it was kind of sad. I mean, it was very sad.
It was definitely sad, even though you kind of. I also knew that he wasn't gonna make it because he's the oldest character of our cast, like. Usually the older, wider...
He has a cane.
Older, wisest person don't make it in a movie, typically.
He has a cane to move around. They make a lot of jokes about his mobility.
Right.
Before they leave, Kirsten Dunst flat out says...
Right. I got an old people home and a kindergarten in the backseat.
Yeah, and she also says, when he was like, when he asked them for a ride, he was like, why don't you guys want me to go with you? And she was like, I'm going to keep it plain. Because you're old. She was like, you're old. And he was like, oh, so you guys are afraid I'm not going to be able to like run away or something fast enough.
Would have been true.
And she was like, yeah, that's it.
Unfortunately, it was technically true because he hung back when
that's a big thing, like in natural disasters and stuff like that. You have to worry about whether the older folk can move fast enough to get out of there. And this is gunfire.
Yep. So it was definitely, even though we both knew it was coming, it was still sad. I will say his ending scenes were beautifully shot though. So they actually make it to Charlottesville, and this is where we find out, I guess maybe the biggest spoiler of the movie is that the president gives up.
Yeah, so they get to Charlottesville and find out that the president is going to surrender to the Western forces.
The loyalist states, I guess you could call them.
The loyalists. Mm-hmm. So Kirsten Dunst and the Jesse and Joel, the rest of our characters, make it to D.C. They hitch a ride with the military, and we're with them the entire time. They get to D.C. to the White House, and it's basically just, we mentioned it, it's like watching somebody play Call of Duty.
It is.
Or like being there.
It's like Call of Duty ramped up.
It's
to 2, 3, 4 octaves.
There's no dialogue at all. Or other than soldiers calling out things to each other, but it's just firefight. Here, we're going here. There's a bomb. Yeah. We're going to do an airstrike. The helicopter's going to go through, blow these 2 buildings up. And it's not shot like an action movie. It's shot like you're running around in a freaking war zone. Yeah,
and we saw it in XD, so it's loud. I mean, for a minute, I thought my ears were starting to hurt because it was so much. It's good. Not complaining. Mm-hmm. It's a good 20 minutes, and I was like, this is wrapping up, and I don't know if we're gonna get the conclusion that we won't, because everything's happening so fast right now.
So they get into the White House because all the journalists want to do is interview them.
Correct.
Because they have gotten word from Joe's other colleagues at the press that the Western forces aren't going in to negotiate. They're going in to execute the president.
Correct.
That's it.
They're not taking them alive.
So Joel and them is like, well, let's go in with them. Let's at least get our chance to ask some questions, because we're not going to be able to stop these people from killing them.
Right.
President has no military anymore.
Because the whole purpose of them going to D.C. was to get an interview before stuff hit the fan. But he's given up. So now they got to move quick.
The only thing the president has in the White House between him and the military is
Secret Service,
like 20 Secret Service people, right? Which they go down like nobody's business.
They not the
they
Western
might as well
forces.
Have surrendered.
They not the Western forces.
No, they're not. They have handguns versus these dudes who are
tanks, bombs.
Because I was like,
grenades.
They kept saying reloading. It's like, is anybody close to running out of bullets? No, like they didn't seem like they brought the whole armory with them.
Yes, basically the Western forces got everything that the army had and put it in their arsenal, and then all the president had at this point was the Secret Service with no arsenal.
So they get into the White House, and Kirsten Dunst saves Jesse, because at this point Jesse she's moving and grooving. She's in her Kirsten Dunst bag.
She's taking her picture. The press is moving along with the soldiers, and they protecting her when they need to, and she ducking and dodging or whatever. She a hot shot now. She a big hot shot.
So so she's a hot shot. she gets a little overexcited taking photos and jumps into the line of fire to try to catch a snapshot. Kirsten Dunst jumps out there to save her, and in the process gets shot twice and dies.
Yes, and as she's falling and as she's getting shot, Jesse actually takes a picture of her as she's falling, kind of, which is interesting because at the beginning of the movie, Jesse asks Lee, like, if I die, will you take a picture? And Lee's like, what do you think?
Yeah.
Essentially telling her, yes, girl.
Yeah, absolutely would.
If you came on this trip, I'm going to get the picture. So it was kind of it was sad, but as you kind of said, they kind of knew going in, this was potentially what could happen.
Yeah. And I don't think it'll get published because I think it's also a parallel to the moment where Kirsten Dunst deleted the photo of Sammy.
Yes. So Kirsten Dunst Lee took a picture of Sammy and she ended up deleting it because, as he was sitting in the car, I bet he was dead at this point, but she deleted it. And then also Lee made a point when Sammy died, like, there are so many worse ways that we could die. Getting shot is like the least horrible because we're not getting tortured. We're not getting kidnapped. We're not getting starved.
We're not, or
any other burned alive.
We're not being tortured like prisoners of war or anything, because they pretty much all of the scenarios through the movie that they drive through, they could have died. Yeah. And it would have been much worse than them both just catching bullets.
Right, which is how she goes.
But yeah, Kirsten Dunst dies, and it's only Jesse and Joel left. So they get to the president because there's nobody else to defend them from the president.
So we see Nick Offerman the second time.
He's hiding under the table in the Oval Office. Correct. They drag him. The Western Forces guys drag him out
by his feet.
And he's like asking to surrender. Yeah. And Joel leans into him and he's like, because at this point, Joe's lost a bunch of people that he worked with.
And Joe just wants a quote.
Because Joe don't really know Jesse like that. So Joe's the only person left that he knows.
Right.
And Joe's like, I need a quote from you. And the president is like, please don't let them kill me. He's like, that'll do. And they shoot that man.
They shoot him more than once.
They riddle him with bullets.
They literally depict the president getting shot, and they don't
in the end credits,
they don't blur it out, they don't shoot away from it. It's just kind of like
the end credits are the soldiers posing next to his body, smiling and taking pictures like they do and when they kill other world leaders and other places when they complete a mission.
El Chapo at the end of Narcos, that famous picture of when they finally caught him on a roof and they took a picture next to his dead body,
and they took a picture posing. They did the exact same thing to the president. And
it was unfortunately, it was very realistic.
Yeah, it didn't hit like, I don't know whether it was supposed to hit like, oh, this is a terrible thing. It hit like, this makes sense.
It didn't, because we didn't know what the president did to get it to this point.
But we do know from Sammy.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Sammy alludes to some things that he did not do.
Yeah. So Sammy, when they're in the road trip there, when Sammy is brainstorming with them what questions they're going to ask the president if they make it into the White House, Sammy kind of drops some things that the president's done. He drops that the president dropped airstrikes on American citizens. And he also dropped the fact that this man is in his third term,
and he disbanded the FBI. We have no context as to why.
Airstrikes on American citizens. Yeah. And he doesn't say which side he did airstrikes on.
Right.
But he did airstrikes on American citizens, and he's in his third term. Yeah. So he needed to be up out of there because he obviously had lost control.
It was not looking good.
Like, why are you in there for a third term? Like, this looks very much like you are. I
brute force my way.
Yeah, this is a strong arm takeover of the country. So he needed to be taken out.
It was, like you said, it didn't hit like, oh my God, you killed the president. It was more like, something going on here.
And it didn't hit like, oh, you guys shot and executed a man who was surrendering. You don't get the mercy of a safe surrender after you have conducted multiple airstrikes and killed people. You clearly have stolen an election because you're in here.
At least one.
You're still
maybe
here.
Working on another.
And you've disbanded the FBI, which I don't even know what was the FBI been in the way of. Like, what was the point of that's nefarious? And we don't even know what that's about. But that's super nefarious.
It was just a random like, now why would you do that?
In war? Like, what what role would the FBI have played in war that you needed to have them gone?
Yeah.
You don't get the benefit of...
It's suspicious. That's weird.
And then when he tried to surrender, he sent the speaker out there to negotiate the Western forces to fly him to Greenland.
Greenland or Alaska,
Why are we negotiating with a man who shouldn't be in office?
Yeah. So they killed her.
Yeah, so they killed her.
The press secretary, the black woman,
and you know
didn't
what?
make it.
I felt bad because she caught a bullet and she's a black woman, but you had the opportunity to leave. And they told you very clear, we're not here for peace. We're not here to negotiate.
That's the one character who should have been like, I know what he said, but can y'all please? I'm on y'all side, please.
It honestly felt like, because it was from one black woman to the other.
Exactly.
Because the Western Forces girl was a black woman, the speaker was a black woman, and the girl told her, like, sis. She was like,
now gone.
We not negotiation, no peace. Please go bring that man out here.
Either you do it or you die.
And she asked her twice.
Mm-hmm.
She said, look, just bring him out here. And she died. So she shot her. And unfortunately, they've blown through the South
Secret
Lawn.
Service.
It looked like they built a wall around the White House.
They tried.
And they
had a barricade of some sort.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I don't know why she was even there.
If I was the speaker, I would have been like,
bye.
So they can hear me.
Yeah.
I would have been like, please, negotiation peace.
Like,
the president wants peace. And I would have had like a whiteboard that said,
please save me.
He's in the next room. Right. Go ahead. Like,
with no security.
Right. There's like two other guys in there.
Take him now.
Yeah.
So let's do favorite line or scene. Oh, wait, I missed one. Who would like this movie?
That's tough to determine.
If you enjoy, you know what? If you like war movies, you would like this. So if you like your Dunkirks and you like your Napoleons and if you like
your military movies, you absolutely would love this.
I wouldn't call this a military movie because our point of view is from photojournalism.
Well, I mean, just like, military in the sense of a lot of this is just gunplay.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of this is firefights, intense, Black Hawk Down-esque,
Pearl
Harbor-esque moments.
There you go. Pearl Harbor, Black Hawk Down.
This is giving Saving Private Ryan
Saving
a bunch
Private
of
Ryan.
moments.
If you like any of those movies, I think you will also like this. The only difference is the context, the time period is now.
Yeah, that's the only difference.
It's not like your cheesy White House Down or what is the other movie?
Mm-hmm.
White House Down.
Olympus Has Fallen.
It's not like that. Like that's very much one man army taking everybody out. No. This is more realistic of factions of people trying to take other factions of people out.
Like we said, it's not political. So whatever party system you align with, this movie has something for everybody. Right. And it doesn't really offend anybody because I don't find it offensive. I mean, you may not like seeing scenes of like people being killed, and I don't either.
I mean, that should be general human nature.
But there's nothing here that would offend like a Democrat or a Republican or a conservative or a liberal, because they never have the conversations with them.
Of who is on what side.
And you see awful people and you see good people, and they don't identify who is what. You just see some people doing bad things. You see some people doing good things.
I would only say, if you align to Jesse Plemons, something's wrong with you. That's the one person.
Now, Jesse Plemons' character is on a side.
Yeah.
So if you are on the side of murdering people indiscriminately and putting them in a pit.
Based on where they from.
Yeah.
Use the problem.
And putting them in a pit of bodies.
Crazy.
Yeah.
You're nuts.
You're a psycho.
Don't see this movie so you don't get no ideas. You don't deserve movies.
Favorite line or scene? My favorite line would be the Kirsten Dunst line where she said, I thought this entire time I was taking pictures, sending it back home and telling us what not to do. And now here we are.
What would be my favorite scene? I actually like my favorite scene was the one where they rolled up on the dudes trying to snipe the guy in the house.
Oh, and I love that scene.
Because the soldiers was just kind of like, no, we don't have time to think about what side he on. He trying to snipe them. I mean, he's trying to snipe us. We trying to snipe him. Any other questions? And that
scene, it kind of stated the whole point of the movie.
Right.
Which was kind of like, it doesn't matter whose side is on what. We're at the point of normal citizens are sniping each other.
Right. And we got to take them out.
Let's fix that first.
Right. Yeah, that would be my favorite.
So final words about the movie and our rating. I would give this 5 Nicole Kidmans.
Okay.
I think that this is a movie. This is cinema. It's shot really well. Okay. Oh, also, a note that I left out of my non-spoiler.
Did I have any other notes?
The cast chemistry was great.
Agree.
Everybody, even though everybody was like different ages and came from different areas, they all like, the chemistry was really good. It really felt like the moments where they were in the car having like road trip moments and conversations and spending time together. I really liked those moments. And it was sad when somebody would die.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I didn't even think about the chemistry between all the actors because all the actors are different. You got an older black man, you got a young white girl, you got an older white woman who's kind of like the vet seasoned journalist. You have the younger girl who's like the new kid on the block, and then you have Joel, who's kind of like he's like fun. He's kind of like not a sidekick, but he's kind of like leading the pack in a sense.
But he's also like he's kind of like
the guy in a chair, but not in a chair.
His character is also like the one that brings the levity.
Yes,
he jokes a lot.
Right.
He's the only one with alcohol.
Correct. And weed. He tells a lot of jokes. Right. So he's like, he adds the levity to the car, because outside of that, it would have been very tense, very dry, very tense. He breaks up the tension a lot of times, and when it's tension, and even he's like, when they get to Jesse Plemons' character, and even he doesn't know what to do. Right. It makes those situations even worse. Exactly, because if he freaking out, it's real bad. I'm gonna give it 5 Nicole Kidmans as well. Yeah. It's crazy to say I enjoyed this movie given the nature of this movie. But the fact that there was one particular scene where I was like holding my popcorn bucket because I was so like, oh my God, what is about to happen? What is about to happen? I mean, there's a couple scenes where I like turned away from the scene because I was like, ooh, this is about to be too much. And the last 20 minutes was just like, when I say on fire, literally and figuratively. So if
the last 20 minutes of the movie was like 20 minutes of the end of that scene in John Wick when he's fighting with the flaming shotgun. Yes. It's the whole last 20 minutes of the movie.
Right. And it's loud and it's destructive and it's crazy to see it and think of this is happening like right now outside. So yeah, I'm going to give it 5. Worth the theater. You should go see it.
Absolutely. Okay, so that is our review for Civil War 2024, not to be confused with the American Civil War.
Please don't. Or Captain America Civil War. Totally different.
What are we reviewing next week?
I don't know. And I say that because we have Rebel Moon coming out. We also have the Gentlemanly Warfare movie coming out. And Abigail also comes out. And we are also coming back from a trip.
So
I don't know how that's going to work out.
We should absolutely do Rebel Moon because it's on Netflix.
Oh, Lord.
And we already committed with part 1. And roasting part 1 was fun. So I'm sure roasting part 2 will also be fun.
So next episode will be Rebel Moon, the conclusion of the Rebel Moon franchise, probably, because ain't no more movies getting made out of this. Rebel Moon part 2.
Absolutely.
And just as a side note, if you have not been watching X-Men 97,
oh my gosh,
go watch X-Men 97.
Also, I would like to add, and with Civil War, now that you mention that, I find it very interesting that people can identify all the themes and the nuances and all the messages that are going on in X-Men 97, but not be able to articulate anything that's happening in Civil War when literally X-Men 97 is about a civil war.
That one of the best parts about X-Men 97 is how they call things out. When Magneto called people a bigot or a terrorist, I'm like, say it. Yeah. Say that, so Magneto.
If you can digest X-Men 97, but you can't digest Civil War because you think Civil War is not accurately depicting Americans, but X-Men 97 killing fictional mutants is, you might be
you might be a Jesse Plemons.
You might be an underdeveloped adult who can only understand things if it's animated, and that might be an issue. And you might be a Jesse Plemons.
No, you might need to get that checked.
Yeah.
Better help.
But X-Men 97, episode 5.
Just if you haven't started, just
my God,
start from the beginning.
On today.
It was
so good.
The MCU fandom was in shambles for a good 48 hours.
Yeah, it was sad.
It was
sad. The writers actually had to come onto Twitter and console multiple people. Yeah. Like, please don't stop watching. Yes.
And apparently this ain't it. Like, apparently a couple more episodes towards the end are also going to turn up. So
Amazing writing.
Just go watch it.
I'm not about to go champion anybody to get their job back because I don't know what you did.
Listen, I need more details.
And you're not going to catch me up.
Absolutely not. Not on record.
I will say that the work ethic and the talent is clearly there.
It didn't
That's
come out.
That's not the issue.
The issues did not come out in the show quality at all, period.
Never would have known.
No, absolutely
Everybody
not.
who works on X-Men 97,
Good
whether
job.
you are there or not,
Thumbs
you
up.
have done great work.
2 thumbs.
Right.
5 Nicole Kidmans.
Yes,
to
5
X-Men
Nicole
97.
Kidmans. Okay, so thanks for listening. If you like our show, please share it. You can leave us a review on Apple Podcast or on our website, vaguelynerdypodcast.com, where you can also leave us a voice message that we can play on the show as long as it is good. Jesse Plemons, you cannot leave us a voice message.
Absolutely. Oh, the real Jesse Plemons.
Yes, you can. You can.
The fake character Jesse Plemons, absolutely not.
No, absolutely not. Kirsten Dunst, you can leave us a voice message as Kirsten Dunst or Lee. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
You can follow us on Twitter at vaguelynerdypod or IG at vaguelynerdypodcast. And you can reach us at vaguelynerdypodcast@gmail.com.
We're also on the TikTok, the Clock app, and Facebook.
Yes.
So you can find us there too.
All right. Anything else?
Nope. See you next episode.
Bye.
Peace.